Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the City Council meeting of June 3rd, 2020 at 4 p.m. at the City Hall chambers. And this is our first meeting back together in a few months, but the meeting is closed to the public. We have comments that we will be reading during the proper agenda item. And with that, if you had any comments, again, they were to go to the city clerk at losbanos.org before the start of the meeting. And you can also watch on YouTube this meeting now and then if for a rerun also. So with that, I am going to call to order the June 4th, 2020 meeting of the Los Banos City Council. And Chief, when you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Chief Hurley. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Director Melanie? You just... There you go.
Here.
Johnson Santos.
Here.
Jones.
Present.
Lewis.
Here.
Villalta.
Here, we do have a quorum. Consideration of approval of agenda. Do I have a motion? Someone finish that? Mr. Faria?
Light?
It's
Thanks.
not on?
Now it is.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Do I have a second? Somebody press? How come it's not? Oh, it's not coming up. Okay, Mrs. Santos, let's try that.
Second.
Try it now.
Second.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved by Faria, second by Johnson Santos for the approval of the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? None carried. Public forum. Members of the public may address the City Council on the following consent agenda items. Speakers may submit their comments and any other agenda items by submitting a written statement by dropping it off to the utility payment box at City Hall at 520 J Street or by mail or emailing cityclerk@losbanos.org. Comments received will be read into the record during the City Council meeting. And I will add, unless it's an agendized item, that we can discuss the comments. Director Maloney, do we have any comments that are non-COVID related?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I will now close the public forum, bring it back to council level, and we will go on to consideration of consent agenda. Consideration of approval of consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and voted on in one motion unless removed from the consent agenda by a city council member. And tonight we have Director Maloney.
Items on the consent agenda are as follows. Warrant numbers 222244 through 222429 in the amount of $877,256.98. Minutes for the May 20th, 2020 City Council meeting. City Council Resolution number 6218, authorizing the city manager to execute the CARES Act Airport Grants Agreement as the sponsor's authorized representative. City Council Resolution number 6219, authorizing entering into a Fourth Amendment to landscape maintenance contract between the City of Los Banos and Ronnie's Inc., which will extend the term through September 30th, 2021, and adding landscape and irrigation services associated with the newly developed landscape areas in Districts 14 and 17. City Council Resolution number 6220, calling and giving notice of the holding of a general municipal election to be held on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020, for the election of certain officers as required by the provisions of the laws of the state of California. Mayor at large for a full term of 2 years. A council member for District 1 for a full term of 4 years, and a council member for District 4 for a full term of 4 years. City Council Resolution Number 6221, requesting the Board of Supervisors of the County of Merced to consolidate a general municipal election to be held on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020, with the California statewide election to be held on the date pursuant to Section 10403 of the Election Code, and the items are to be approved as submitted.
Is there any council member who would like to remove an item for discussion? Mrs. Lewis? None? Nothing? Okay. Go ahead.
I'll take it.
Press.
Yeah, item D, I'd just like a little discussion on that.
Let
regarding
me,
the-
let me see if I can make this work here. These buttons don't seem to be, I'm pressing them and they're not, try it now. Okay. Okay. All right. Are there any other agenda items to be removed? All right. Mr. Jones, you want to make a motion then?
Motion to approve the consent agenda minus item D as submitted.
Okay, do I have a second? Have a second?
It's over here.
Oh, okay, let's try that, Mrs. Lewis.
I'll se-
These,
The light's on.
you want to do the second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Lewis. Okay, it's been motioned by Jones, second by Lewis, to approve the consent agenda minus item B. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Let's go on to B. Mr. Jones?
That was item D.
Item D?
Item D.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said item B.
D is in
See,
David.
D as
I'm
in
sorry.
dog.
So the motion was for item D to approve the consent agenda minus item D, and it was seconded by Mrs. Lewis. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Mr. Jones, item D.
Yeah, just like, if Mark can, just a brief explanation of what we mentioned over the phone, just to inform the public of what that is. That's all.
And then
Okay.
I have some questions too, Mr. Mayor, after that.
All right. These buttons are hard to push. They're not working.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. It's been a long time since I talked from here.
No.
What this is there's two items on this recommendation. One is to take a one-year extension to the contract we currently have with Banos through September 30th, 2021. This is really the second extension of a possible 3. And the other is to add 2 landscape areas, and one is over by Ortigalita in a new planter area on Travertine, and one is over by Mission and Place. We do add these, they usually don't come before you, but we add these, and they're added per the lump sum of the bid, or the unit value of the bid, so it's exactly what was bid. They have no idea what's going to be developed, so we have to add this to be fair. We will have a few more of these coming. We have a few subdivisions that have a lot more landscaping. After the landscaping has been accepted, we start maintaining it, and that's when it has to come in so we can pay for it. So that's-
Excellent.
Okay, thank you. Mark, the question I have is, at the last extension on this, I believe the council, and I may be wrong, but in my memory, I thought we were going to put this contract out to bid. Now, certainly, I'm not trying to put a local out of business by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm just concerned that we keep extending a
Yeah.
contract when we have an opportunity to maybe lessen our cost to the city.
Well, okay, I agree with you, and there's no way to lessen the cost that we have now. I'll be very blunt and honest about that. But you're right, but that was the previous contract that we extended. Because the last extension, there has been one extension on this, and I actually did that myself as administration of the contract allows in the staff report. But we decided to bring this one back to council where you should have that approval, not myself. And why we brought this back, several reasons. It's true, it's not a perfect contract, but probably in a grading level, it's about a B contract. They're doing that kind of work. That's a pretty high level of work for landscaping. The other thing, when this first went out about 10, 13, 14, 15 years ago, when it first went out, I believe there was about 4 or 5 bidders. And this particular bidder was half of what the next bidder was, and so on. It kept going sky high. And then 7 years ago, when this went out, he was the only bidder that bid this. And I believe allowing for just a cost of index, and it'll be decided at the September index, will be a lot more reasonable than going out to another bid, even if he's the only bidder again, because I think he has to recover some things. The last year, when we extended it, he did not take a cost of living adjustment. He turned it down. He didn't want it. And I just believe that currently, and the problem with getting bidders right now, and it's nice to have bidders, we don't actually have another local landscaper with a local enough yard and enough equipment locally to really compete. We've heard that from a lot of landscapers. It's really hard when he has such infrastructure available in town. I think over the next year or two, we will have a possible person that wants to bid this that becomes local because someone is opening up a yard in town. So this is why we're presenting it to you. I think it's very fair. He doesn't, in the last extension too, he didn't take a cost of living the first year, he took it the second year, and he didn't take a cost of living this year, he's gonna only take it for the second year. I think that's very fair. There is items that in every contract are missing. A lot of those items, I will be honest with you, have a lot to do with city staff ability to do things like garbage pickup. That's not his contract, that's ours. But I think most people would agree over the last 2 years, the project management has gotten a lot better on this contract, and I think things are looking better. We have issues like with Cardoza and areas like that. Realize though, in the next year, if we approve the landscape and lighting districts as proposed, we have $35,000 in there for improvements of landscaping. The year after that, we have 70. The year after that, we have 35. The year after that, we have 70. So that's over 200, that's about 210,000 over 4 years that we're going to be putting in that section because we actually have the district in such a condition that we can do that. So I'm hoping that that will all look better too. But
Because I had a call last night from a constituent in my district, and it was for, speaking to them for quite a while about issues that they had. Trash found in landscaping, apparently people going out and putting water and animal food in the landscaping for animals to eat, and new projects being built with landscaping that's the same as what is across the street. And one of my main complaints has been for a long time is that we've allowed what should be hedges grow into trees, and they've just kind of melted into the trees, and it really destroys the beauty of having a landscape when that goes on. So what I'm saying is, Ronnie's crew, and I'm not blaming him for this, because this has to come from the city.
yeah, this is all these
to
items
just
you
go and
mentioned.
shave
All these
those-
items you mentioned are direction from the city. Yes.
Shave those trees up,
But-
those hedges up into trees, and then what's left
Okay.
at the top is just kind of whisking out in the air. So, there has to be a way at some point where we bring our landscape
But-
back into a way where it looks pleasant and decent in our
Well,
neighborhoods.
let me address this back to you. A lot of the landscape in the district that isn't in good shape, it's stuff we don't maintain. It's in front of houses. That's their maintenance.
No, I'm
It's not-
talking that's
I
on public
understand.
areas. I'm not
And
talking
another
about
thing that I
residential.
don't think, I've never talked to you personally about, but when we did that first trimming to get everything down below the tree, at the wall height,
Yes, that was
we've
on
got 3
Cardoza.
times as many complaints why we did it than it looked better. We still do. People like the shade. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but people like the shade. And that's why the previous Assistant Public Works Director did it that way. We're gonna go back and keep doing that. It just creates a very ugly shrub for about 2 years. It takes that long to grow back. Garbage is our issue. Feeding the cats and all really isn't our issue, it's an animal control issue. But the garbage definitely is our issue. Just today, I did direct solid waste to try to get out to that particular area that we're talking about at least once a week. A lot of this was patrolled and taken care of by part-timers. We don't have them anymore, but that's just another item that we have to deal with. But most of the stuff that you're referring to actually is direction from city staff. It's not Ronnie.
Yeah, and I realize that. I realize that. That's why I'm bringing it up. Now, we may have let those, what should have been bushes grow into trees is not the residents' fault, but there are trees there that if they were shaped up, kept nicely, it would offer them shade in the back of their property, although that's still on the public side of the fencing or the masonry wall that they have. In regards to who has what jurisdiction and what department, if somebody, while they're out there taking care of landscaping, whether it's trash or whether it's animals, being fed in the landscaping of the public areas, somebody needs to be responsible to report it to whatever, if it's you or somebody in your department, so it can get out to the proper departments. That's where I'm seeing issues. And I've spoken to you a few times about water irrigation being broken, and I understand that Ronnie's staff is supposed to just kind of like take care of that. But when it's hidden in an area where most of the landscape's dead and they're not maintaining any of that, then they're not going to see it. So there's a breakdown there.
Yeah, I
of
agree with you.
How we're doing
I agree
things
with
here
you, and
in
I
the
know
city.
one instance we had tremendous issue with one of your requests because it kept breaking below over and over again. I think every other issue we've gotten, and we really appreciate when citizens that walk these parks to let us know, because we can't be there all the time. I think almost every issue of broken pipes now we have addressed. I have directed the Parks and Rec this year. I think they're doing the maintenance people, a lot better looking at things before they get dead, before they realize it's not being watered. I think they're doing better this year at that. But yes, this is stuff that we have to do. Ronnie's contract with us, they have a lot of work to do. And to tell us there's trash on a Cardozo, which almost any time we know there is, because even when we go clean it up, the next day it's there again. So I don't really think that's their responsibility. And as far as the cat issue, I don't know how to address that, but
Well, I don't know if
I
it's
can try
cat,
to
it could be
address that.
dogs, it could be any animals, but.
yeah. But I know
the
there was a lot of
complaint that I
wild
got
kittens out
from
there,
the
yeah.
resident was that, when they walk, they find food and watering inside the landscape. It's the new
Yes, there is.
landscaping
Yes, there
in
is.
the Anderson homes. So
And this is groups of people that are bringing it out there.
whoever's bringing it out is being brought out. So I guess that's my big concern. I have asked to see something in writing as to who's responsible for what, so that I'm not just calling
Okay.
you saying, hey,
No.
look,
This
this is happening, and what we have before us
Any
is the same
issue-
contract
yeah,
that we normally get.
Any
from the
issue
city.
with the medians or the park strips does come to us. If I have to go and find a little help to solve it, it does come to us, starts and ends with us. So you're coming to the right person. We need to respond to it better. We got a lot of requests earlier about that. And as I said, we got another request, I think it was this morning or yesterday, on garbage in the area, and I have talked to our solid waste people about making this a route. We don't really have routes in solid waste for our people because we don't have a lot of people, but this is one of the areas that we're going to concentrate on routes again. We did for a while, it died off for a while, now it's coming back. And I will look into what to do about the animal situation. Yeah. But yeah, I would please direct it to me, and if it's not me, I'll find someone that can handle it for sure.
Okay,
Or
so
at least try.
if, and I'm only speaking to you about parks in my district, because I don't have the time to drive around and look at everybody else's district. That's their responsibility. But if there's a park in my district where the winter's now over, grass is beginning to die, that tells me there's something wrong with the irrigation
Yes, that's
within that
definitely true,
park.
yeah.
So then I will bring that to your attention.
Exactly, yes.
And let you know. I spoke about that last year. And,
And
I
I
was hoping
think-
that something, I didn't
Yeah.
speak to you about it. I spoke to someone else about it last year, and it didn't get taken care of. So I don't know
Well, I
if that was
think-
passed
yeah.
on to you or not.
And I think this year, we've had a couple of situations where we've had dry parks all over town. And except for two, it's been addressed pretty quick. Two had breaks. And the only time you find breaks is in the summer. So, and they were repaired quickly. But please let us know. Because I'll be honest with you, sometimes our maintenance crews, like they go to the rail trail and they clean the rail trail. That's pretty much the whole crew there for a week and a half. So they may not see something, which we should see. And I'm not getting out as much as I used to, so I'm not seeing as much either. So any input, I will try to address.
Okay, and I've taken some pictures, so I'll share those with
Sure.
you and see what we could do to get some of that corrected.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, thank you.
All right, any other questions on D?
Anything else?
Just for the record, I'm hoping that by the time, obviously you have some information about another landscaper
Yes, we do.
coming on board that.
He's developing his
at least
yard
we
right
can
now.
Get another bid, by the time this one expires. And again, I'm not looking to try to put anybody out of business or anything like that. But there's just
Yeah.
a lot of concerns that I have
Well, competition is good.
from, well, it always is.
Yes.
As long as you're getting quality work. I don't like competition just for the sake of getting a lower bid. It has to be quality work.
You're absolutely right.
But there, you know, I've gotten complaints in one of your districts from someone, and not to say anything about you, but it's about.
It's your
you know,
yard, Brett.
The CCID trail.
Yes.
You know, and those trees that are apparently who have never been trimmed. So I know that we're supposed to be working up a plan at some point to work on our trees and getting them trimmed up, getting them fed and things like that. So I'm hoping that's going to be coming sooner than later.
Yeah, that we're working on a tree master plan right now, which will, in order to reach the goals that master plan is, we eventually will have to have people to do that. But the master plan will show us what's directed to do that. I actually think on the canal trail, those trees actually are doing some of the best in town. So
I'm sorry, I didn't
I think
understand.
on the canal trail, those trees are doing pretty well, most of them. So
Yeah, I think the complaint that I got is branches hanging over into people's yard and the leaves falling into their swimming pool. So that's,
we get that a lot too.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, Mr. Jones, you want to make the motion?
Yes, Mayor, like to make a motion to approve resolution number 6219 as submitted.
Mrs. Lewis?
Second,
Motion by Jones, second by Lewis, to approve item D only on the consent agenda, resolution number 6219. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Okay, thank you, Mark. Let's go on to item 7, COVID-19 status update. So I think, so the council can hear everything that's going on first before we discuss this. Director Maloney, would you please read the letters that you have?
Okay, the first letter is from Jared Brazil. Please remove the mask ordinance. It is a struggle for oxygen for people who perform physical tasks on the job site. Dear City Council, please remove the mask ordinance. This should be a decision that we can make for ourselves. Thank you, signed Celeste Silva. Good afternoon. My name is Tricia Campos. I'm a member of the Los Banos community. My husband and I both work here in town, and we have 3 children in the school. We appreciate the work you have put in to keep our community safe and healthy during this pandemic. I write to ask that you keep the ordinance in place requiring masks to be required in public businesses. Data provided by our own county health department has shown that actions taken by Los Banos have reduced the spread of COVID-19. The health director praised our masking measure. Although masks may be uncomfortable, they can keep our community healthy. For those who are at higher risk, it also allows them to continue to work and visit local businesses while feeling like there's an extra layer of precaution. Please vote to keep this measure in place to continue safeguarding the health of our community. Thank you, signed Tricia Campos. I am writing to urge you to order the immediate reopening of CrossFit Valley View. I believe the benefits of proactive and preventative health care far outweighs the risk. I will be able to help myself stave off illness, sickness, depression, physical pain, and disease through a comprehensive approach, including the services CrossFit Valley View provides. CrossFit Valley View provides clients accountability, a sense of community, and helps them reduce their rates of stress, anxiety, and depression. I think you will agree with me that the need for these positive health benefits has never been higher. I do not feel that I am at risk while attending CrossFit Valley View. I believe the opposite is true. The positive physical and mental health benefits of attending in-person classes are a net benefit. I do not see why I can frequent a larger, more densely populated business that doesn't provide the previously mentioned health benefits while the city does not allow me to attend CrossFit Valley View. CrossFit Valley View's safety plan, based on science and empirical data, will allow me to reap the positive benefits of exercise and community while minimizing risk to level below that of many of the businesses currently allowed to open. I urge you to consider this while making your decision. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to communicating with you if you have any further questions or concerns. And she leaves her phone number, and it's signed Patricia Aceves. Mayor and members of the City Council, I have voiced my disdain for the additional city ordinance for COVID before. These mandates may have been made with good intentions, but they are a huge overstep of government power. As a concerned citizen, I have emailed and called many city officials. No one can explain any parameters that started the mandates, nor parameters that need to be reached to end them. One suggested that we are following the Bay Area's lead. I hear things like, we think the masks are working and the measures are working. There is no solid proof. COVID is not going to be eliminated, so do the mandates stay in place forever? Is that okay? I also haven't heard a clear goal of the ordinance. Was it to keep hospital beds open, prevent deaths? A common comment I heard was to keep people from getting sick. Is it the duties and the responsibilities of the city to keep people from getting the flu in their regular day-to-day activities by limiting their freedoms and modifying their behavior and crippling businesses? No, it's not. This opens a huge can of worms. What happens when the next flu comes? Automatic ordinance? I refuse to accept this as the new norm. Doing something with good intentions doesn't necessarily correlate to doing the right thing. Today, once again, I ask you to rid the citizens and businesses of Los Banos from the paralyzing city ordinance. It's time to move on. Respectfully, Mark Vieira, Los Banos resident. Council members, as of this writing, CrossFit Valley View has been ordered to close for 76 days. That is the same length of time Wuhan, China was locked down for coronavirus. If we are not allowed to open tomorrow, the city of Los Banos will become more restrictive to business than the city of Wuhan, China. Our governor has repeatedly stated that no two businesses are the same. Unfortunately, those words have not been backed by action. Our business is being grouped together and treated the same as other facilities that are similar in industry name, but drastically different in circumstances. We have already proved in our first two letters that our business is objectively safer than the businesses currently allowed to open, but we'll attach our floor plan and safety protocol again for you to review. Over a week ago, our governor stated that guidance regarding gyms would be provided within a week, and counties that have self-attested may allow gyms to open. That guidance has not come. It is time for our elected officials to stand up for businesses in Los Banos and end the discrimination we face from our governor. We voted for you to be leaders and have faith in your abilities to do so. With your approval, we can get back to our life's work of improving the health and well-being of this community. Do we have your approval? Sincerely, Jennifer Correa and Graciano Rubio, owners of CrossFit Valley View. Good afternoon. I am writing to urge you to order the immediate reopening of CrossFit Valley View. I believe the benefits of proactive and preventative health care far outweighs the risks. Going to CrossFit Valley View helps prevent illness, By building a healthy immune system, it helps fight off depression, physical pain, and disease through a comprehensive approach. CrossFit Valley View provides me accountability, a sense of community, and helps me reduce the rates of stress and anxiety. I'm sure you can agree with me when I say we all really need this right now. I do not feel that I am at risk while attending CrossFit Valley View. I believe the opposite is true. The positive physical and mental health benefits of attending in-person classes are a net benefit. I do not see why I can frequent a larger, more densely populated business that doesn't provide the previously mentioned health benefits while the city does not allow me to attend CrossFit Valley View. CrossFit Valley View's safety plan based on science and empirical data will allow me to reap the positive benefits of exercise and community while minimizing risk to a level below that of many of the businesses currently allowed to open. I urge you to consider this while making your decision. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to communicating with you if you have any further questions or concerns. Being healthy to stay healthy, signed, Lisa Souza. I am writing to urge you to order the immediate reopening of CrossFit Valley View. I believe the benefits of proactive and preventative health care far outweighs the risk. I will be able to help myself stave off illness, sickness, depression, physical pain, and disease through a comprehensive approach, including the services CrossFit Valley View provides. CrossFit Valley View provides clients accountability, a sense of community, and helps them reduce their rates of stress, anxiety, and depression. I think you will agree with me that the need for these positive health benefits has never been higher. I do not believe that I am at risk while attending CrossFit Valley View. I believe the opposite is true. The positive physical and mental benefits of attending in-person classes are a net benefit. I do not see why I can frequent a larger, more densely populated business that doesn't provide the previously mentioned health benefits while the city does not allow me to attend CrossFit Valley View. CrossFit Valley View's safety plan based on science and empirical data will allow me to reap the positive benefits of exercise and community while minimizing risk to a level below that many of the businesses currently allowed to open. I urge you to consider this while making your decision. Thank you for your time, and it's signed, Laura Raisy. Dear Mayor Villalta, I wanted to let you know that this morning on the Merced County EOC call, Los Banos and its masking requirement was discussed and given a very positive shout out. In particular, Los Banos had the most stringent and effective masking policy in our county, and right after it went into effect, we experienced a significant decrease in the number of cases of COVID-19. We bear witness to this at the hospital. Our masking policy, social distancing, and enforcement differentiated us from other towns and cities that had much higher infection rates. For every city with different regulations and orders has been a social experiment in fighting COVID-19. And I'm proud to say in Los Banos, we've taken the proper measures and stayed in the fight. The article in The Lancet, the leading British medical journal, on June 1st, 2020, just 2 days ago, regarding the effectiveness of mask distancing of 1 meter and was associated with a large reduction in risk of infection against infection by these coronaviruses. Social distancing, sheltering at home, no doubt, has had significant impacts. Each measure we take to beat this disease helps. No measure is 100% effective, but taken as a whole, they break the chain of infection as multiple links stopping the infection. We have not had outbreaks in nursing home or large businesses in Los Banos since these measures. As the economy opens back up and our citizens return to a more normal life, I applaud what you've done for our town. As the Chief Medical Executive, I am appreciative of your efforts. As the administrator, I am glad we're reopening businesses safely. I believe we can do so safely and recommend that we continue with the more stringent masking, social distancing requirements for now. The next 2 to 4 weeks will tell us if we'll have a second wave or if things will continue to calm. At this time, once we've proven we can handle the increased interactions, it may be time to remove the masking requirement, depending on the number of infections we're seeing. I'll be happy to give the City Council an update anytime it wishes, and together we will beat this disease. It's signed Philip Yu, MD, Chief Medical Executive, Sutter Tracy Community Hospital and Memorial Hospital, Los Banos. Good afternoon. My name is Patrick Galicchio. I have been a lifelong resident here in Los Banos. I appreciate the quick response that our city officials have taken to battle the spread of COVID-19. Our positive cases have flattened over the course of the last few weeks. I am asking the mandatory fast mask rule to be changed to the Merced County's code of voluntary face mask. As an essential business owner with the record-breaking high temperatures forecasted, I am requesting this for the safety of my employees. Please consider to make this an optional choice for our residents and businesses. Thank you for your consideration. He's a partner in the Pentagon company DBA Delta Farms. I'm writing to urge you to order the immediate reopening of CrossFit Valley View. I believe that the benefits of proactive and preventative health care far outweighs the risk. I will be able to help myself stave off illness, sickness, depression, physical pain, and disease through a comprehensive approach, including the services CrossFit Valley View provides. CrossFit Valley View provides client accountability, a sense of community, and helps them reduce their rates of stress, anxiety, and depression. I think you will agree with me that the need for these positive health benefits has never been higher. I do not feel that I am at risk while attending CrossFit Valley View. Thank you for your time and consideration, and it's signed Irene Chavez. And it looks like a duplicate message from Pauline Tyne. I am writing to urge you to order the immediate reopening of CrossFit Valley View. She believes that the benefits of proactive and preventative health care far outweighs the risk. I will be able to help myself stave off illness, sickness, depression, physical pain, and disease throughout a comprehensive approach, including the services of CrossFit Valley View provides. And it's duplicate of what I just read by Irene Chavez, and this time it's signed by Paula Tyne. Would you rather that I read these duplicate letters into the record?
I think you should, just so we had said everyone with a separate signature had their letter read.
Okay, so I'll continue on with Paula Tyne's comments. CrossFit Valley View provides clients accountability, a sense of community, and helps them reduce their rates of stress, anxiety, and depression. I think you will agree with me that the need for these positive health benefits has never been higher. I do not feel that I am at risk while attending CrossFit Valley View. I believe the opposite is true. The positive physical and mental benefits of attending in-person classes are a net benefit. I do not see why I can frequent a larger, more densely populated business that doesn't provide the previously mentioned health benefits while the city does not allow me to attend CrossFit Valley View. CrossFit Valley View's safety plan based on science and empirical data will allow me to reap the positive benefits of exercise and community while minimizing risk to a level below that of many of the businesses currently allowed to open. I urge you to consider this while making your decision. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to communicating with you if you have further questions or concerns, and she leaves her telephone number, and it's signed Paula Tyne. Dear Council, public service can oftentimes be thankless, tireless effort. Nevertheless, it's needed particularly in the governance of a community. I appreciate your service, especially during these challenging times. Council members, it's time to remove the face mask ordinance. Experts say the virus succumbs to heat. We've had and are having triple-digit heat. Wearing a face mask in valley heat can cause serious harm, particularly among those with breathing challenges. Breathing in one's own carbon monoxide in triple-digit can cause unconsciousness. The preventative measures in place may be more harmful than the virus than that a 98-degree recovery rate. I urge you and direct you to repeal the ordinance. It served its purpose. It's time to move forward. Thanks for your time. Peace and blessings to all. Signed, Geneva Brett, Los Banos. Please rescind the ordinance to wear a mask in Los Banos. I will not shop there until this is done. Thank you, signed Mary Goyne. Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. I am writing this email to request that the restrictions on masks is lifted. I have observed that people are much more cautious than they used to be. With our COVID-19 numbers decreasing, I feel it is time to relax the restrictions on wearing masks. At this point, they are a symbol of fear and apprehensive. In this heat, they are also a health hazard to many. Thank you for your consideration in this matter, Reverend Stephen Hammond, Senior Pastor of Bethel Community Church. Get rid of the mask. It's signed Will York. And I have some that have come in through email since I last checked at 3:40. So let me go to my email. Good afternoon. I would like to respectfully address the mayor and city council tonight regarding the mandatory requirement to wear a mask in the Los Banos businesses. I would ask that this requirement be removed and to follow in line with the guidelines set forth by Merced County, which recommends but does not make it mandatory. I personally am unable to wear a mask. This is not just me standing my ground and saying I don't want to wear one. I can't physically wear one. And I know many others that do not like to wear and state that they are unable to wear masks for long periods of time. I feel that those who are afraid or compromised should do what they need to do, but to force all of us does not make sense. I have worked every day with the public at the bank. It has been deemed essential, although all businesses are essential to their owners, and they who were closed for a while have suffered enough. The employees at businesses are having to wear all day long. This is not comfortable nor healthy for them. And while I am not a doctor, I have read many articles regarding the pros and cons of wearing a mask, and it really has mixed reviews. I have not shopped any businesses in Los Banos that does not have a drive-through because of that requirement. I have the groceries delivered to my home just so I don't have to go in without a mask. The fact that the businesses have required masks before allowing entry was fine in the beginning, but our numbers are low. In fact, if you ask me, our numbers were never to the point requiring this drastic mandate. But that is my personal opinion, and I understand the decision made. So again, I request that this mandatory requirement for the city of Los Banos be changed to voluntary, and that businesses who currently require it can change that option if they so wish. In speaking to several business owners, they only required it because the city was requiring it. Thank you for your consideration, and let's get back to business and some normalcy in our lives. It is time. Sincerely, Lucy Lawrence, Vice President Branch Manager of Mechanics Bank. Dear city officials, I am writing to you on our current mask policy. I have been in the medical field for 20 years and have been in this community for 16 years. We should have a choice if we want to wear a mask or not. Some people feel they are safer with it, and that's fine. I would like to inform you that breathing in your own CO2 can become dangerous to your health. We have people in the stores that wear them for hours as they work. I see people in our town that wear N95 masks, which will not protect you from COVID. This mask was made to protect you from tuberculosis. The CDC and Fauci have both admitted that the masks don't really help as well. We are coming into summer. We are going to come into problems with wearing a mask all day long with this heat. I went into Denny's to eat the other day, and we had to walk in with a mask until we sat down. Now explain to me how that makes sense. I will continue to shop out of town if we have to continue this mask policy. Also, if you keep mask requirement in place, leave it to the business owners to make the decision if they want customers to wear the mask or not. Also, last meeting, a city official was upset because she was adamant that the mask was the reason for our low numbers. I disagree. Many other counties have low numbers and they are allowed to wear a mask. Hygiene is important, but a mask won't save you. Brett Jones explained himself well regarding masks last meeting. It seems in some other officials weren't trying to hear him. Are you officials not hearing each other? Do only some opinions matter? Oh yes, one last thing. Under HIPAA law, if one has anxiety with a mask and other medical issues, they don't have to wear one, and lawsuits can be a big issue once people start understanding their rights. Are you willing to take that risk? Please let us make our own decision whether we want to wear a mask or not. Excuse me. That is signed Rose Garcia. And I'm just looking at it because she sent the email twice. I don't think I need to read it again,
No.
do I? Okay.
This one.
And her name was Rosa Garcia.
Okay.
Here's an email from Joseph Garcia. A few weeks ago, the CDC said homemade cloth masks were pretty much useless and they had little chance of protecting us from getting the virus. They also said there was little chance of keeping the wearer from spreading the virus. The only effective masks were the N95 masks, which the healthcare and frontline workers desperately needed. So now suddenly you're pushing for us to wear the same masks that are basically deemed useless. I understand that doing this supposedly prevents some droplets from spreading, but mask wearing many hours a day will no doubt cause extreme face touching. I've seen multiple people grab at their mask on the mouth area, which usually is wet. If you don't think touching saliva and then touching money, food, and such items could not spread the virus, then you might want to rethink your reasoning. Please understand, I've personally seen multiple people pass out or nearly pass out due to the mask requirement. It's getting extremely hot now, and many people will be at risk by restricting their oxygen level. Rebreathing CO2 can lead to increased blood pressure, headaches, muscle twitches, rapid heart rate, chest pain, confusion, and fatigue. In extreme cases, if left untreated, hypercapnia can lead to organ damage and even have long-standing effects on the brain. Please reconsider. There are no studies showing that this has slowed down the spread. And that ends all the emails that I have received.
Okay. Do you have that memo that was passed from?
The Merced County Department of Public Health is committed to taking critical steps to ensure Merced County residents are protected from severe consequences of communicable diseases, including coronavirus disease COVID-19. Widespread masking has been shown to decrease the spread of COVID-19 across the world. Countries with higher mask usage have lower transmission rates, meaning their curves are flatter. Masking policies are aimed at community protection more than individual protection. To provide clarity, this memo highlights the requirements for masking in Merced County pursuant to the May 8th health order. All Merced County residents are strongly encouraged to wear masks when leaving their homes to engage in activity in which social distancing is not feasible, especially indoors. All businesses for whom the state guidelines require masks of either staff and or patrons, for example, barbershops and hair salons, must require masking in Merced County. Businesses have the right to refuse service to patrons who refuse to follow their safety protocols, including masking. For more information on business sector guidelines, please visit www.reopenmercedcounty.com, and that's signed Salvador San
Thank you. And that concludes everything? All right. Thank you so much. So with council's permission, I am going to now have the presentations on City Council Resolution Number 6222, continuing the declaration of existence of a local emergency within the City of Los Banos COVID-19, and City Council Resolution Number 6223, ratifying in part, amending in part, and rescinding in part that certain Executive Order 2020-01, order of the city manager of the City of Los Banos in his capacity as Director of Emergency Services, date of order April 14th, 2020, of which we ratified. Okay, who's going to present this?
That would be me.
All right. We're going with 6222 right now?
Well, yes, I'll be covering and presenting on the resolution regarding the continuation of the local emergency and then moving on to Executive Order 2020-01.
All right.
I do have a PowerPoint or a slide deck,
Sure.
Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see. 1, 2. All right. I still remember how to count to 3.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor. So again, there are two items for council's consideration this evening. A resolution regarding the continuance of the local emergency, and then consideration of Executive Order 2020-01. See if I can do this and turn the mouse on. Shoot. There we go. Sorry about that. It'll take me a while to figure that out. So there are two recommendations before you this afternoon. Adoption of the resolution continuing the local state of emergency, and then providing direction relative to Executive Order 2020-01. So there we go. Figured it out. So regarding the local state of emergency, just a little bit of background. On March 17th, the city manager, acting as Director of Emergency Services, declared a local emergency. On March 18th, that declaration was ratified by the council. On March 22nd, the county announced its first case of COVID-19 in the county. April 14th, the executive order was issued. April 15th, the council extended the declaration and ratified Executive Order 2020-01. And state law does require the confirmation at least every 60 days of a locally declared state of emergency. So that's why this item is before you this afternoon. To potentially ratify the continuing of that declaration. So this table included in the presentation is just from the press release that's issued on a daily basis by the County of Merced. Currently, we have 308 cases, confirmed cases here in Merced County.
Is that as of today, or we haven't gotten the report yet?
That was as of June 2nd, yesterday.
Okay.
Have not
All
received
right.
that report yet.
Thank you.
Of course. So active cases are 80. 221 individuals have recovered, 155 in Eastern County, 62 in West County. Unfortunately, there have been 7 deaths in Merced County, and 40 individuals hospitalized over the course of the pandemic here in Merced County. So just wanted to show what our current numbers are in the county. So 120 cases in the city of Merced, 59 cases in the city of Los Banos, 27 cases in Atwater, 24 in Delhi, 20 in Winton, 17 in Livingston, and again, this is as of yesterday, I apologize, 8 in Gustine and 6 in Hillmar. So just as a reminder, The county's only noting communities with 6 or more cases. So those are the communities that have at least 6 cases, both in the unincorporated portions of Merced County and municipalities. So why the initial declaration and why the continuance of the local state of emergency really provides for reimbursement from both the state and federal government. It does a number of other things, but from a purely fiscal perspective, allows for future reimbursement of funding. And although I haven't seen in the CARES Act or other state funding, I'd be concerned if this wasn't continued, that potential source of funding could be jeopardized. So again, I haven't seen that in the legislation, but it would concern me if the state didn't, if this wasn't continued, we might jeopardize that future funding. So unless there are questions regarding that portion of this item, I'll move forward, Mr. Mayor.
Any
Question.
questions on this? And we'll just have the other one. Is that all right? Council? Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So Executive Order 2020-01. I think I did mention it previously, but this order was issued by the Emergency Services Director on April 14th of this year. That was ratified by you as the City Council the next day on April 15th. So what does EO 2020-01 do? Sorry about that. I moved forward. Requires essential businesses open the public to prepare and post a social distancing plan. Requires what we had termed, and I do just want to note, I'm not using essential businesses to connote or note that one business is more important than another. I certainly do not want to communicate that. Those are the terms that have been used throughout the pandemic, but I do want particularly our business community to know that I'm certainly not, do not intend to place one business as more important over another. So I just want to explain that. So this executive order required covered businesses to require wearing of face coverings by employees and customers and or visitors. It limits the number of persons to 5 per 1,000 square feet and establishes the 1 adult per shopping cart rule here, excuse me, here in Los Banos. So I did just want to show, so this chart is from Merced County and shows the number of cases, what was that, April 14th, which was the day of the issuance of the order. There were 27 cases in Los Banos, 15 cases in Merced, 6 in Gustine, and 6 in Atwater. This 27 number does include the cluster for the rural health clinic, but even if you back those 10 cases out, our numbers were reasonably close to Merced. So, but again, 27 cases in Los Banos, 15 in Merced, and 15 in Merced. So fast forward that to today, and we see 120 cases in Merced, 59 in Los Banos, 27 in Atwater, 24 in Delhi. And I think that you can see the rest of the cases in the community. I won't go through those, but seeing a significant increase in the city of Merced, and our numbers here holding steady. I do have another chart that I'll talk about that does a comparison over time between Merced and Los Banos. So there's several options for the council's consideration this afternoon.
Oh, Mrs. Lewis?
Question?
Okay. Yes.
Okay,
Should be on.
thank you.
Okay.
Alex, do you have anything in your presentation, or at least do you have the statistics or the dates when we passed that ordinance as to when the line crossed over between Los Banos and Merced, when our cases decreased and theirs continued to go up?
I do, council member. I think it's probably in a couple more slides.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for the question. So there are a number of options for council's consideration this afternoon. One of which could be rescinding Executive Order 2020-01, which would result in deferring to the county's May 8th order. And in summary, what the May 8th county order does, it strongly encourages face masks be worn by employees and members of the public when they go into a facility or business, limits people in a facility or job site to 6 foot, the standard social physical distancing distance. Businesses would be required to mark 6 foot increments online in lines so folks could maintain that social distance. For example, if they're waiting to pay for groceries or to get into a store. Provide hand sanitizer and disinfectant. Provide contactless payment systems. Regularly disinfect high-touch surfaces, excuse me. Post signage for, and I hope I get this word right, febrile illness. That was an executive order put out by the county health officer, which from what I understand requires temperature taking for employees as employees go into a workplace. Just some basic health monitoring for employees. Assign a safety officer. And then lastly, the county health order, for the most part, says if you're complying with state guidelines, you're complying with the state order. So let's see. So moving on, there are other options for the council, really dependent on the pleasure of the council to maintain the mask requirement or potentially ease up on the mask requirement again at the pleasure of the council. If there's a desire to extend the face covering requirement to recently reopened businesses in that stage 2.5, the council could elect to do that. We would recommend allowing for an ADA exemption and an exemption for individuals under 2 years of age as well. Other options for the council, if you choose to amend Executive Order 2020-01, could be to rescind the 1 adult per cart rule. I know we've heard some comments from individuals that does create some issues for folks. So the council could choose to rescind that portion of the executive order. Rescind the five persons per 1,000 square feet portion of the order. The county's order does establish social distancing requirements. This formula is a little more specific than what the county has developed, but the council could choose to rescind that portion of the order. And then we as the staff came up with a self-certification process, really a simple form for businesses to post as they go through the county order, just to notify their potential customers that they are in compliance with that county executive order. So once again, at the pleasure of the council, you could continue that requirement if you choose to as part of this executive order. Council member, this I think will demonstrate. If it doesn't, please let me know. But what this graph shows in the, I think it's blue line, is Los Banos's cases, and in the red line, City of Merced. You'll see down at the 0 point, kind of where we started several months ago in March, trending along kind of the same path. number of cases to about April 8th. In the April 9th, April 10th area, you'll see a spike. I believe that represents the cluster at the Rural Health Clinic. Then you'll see kind of an increase in cases. The executive order was issued on the 14th, ratified by you as the council on the 15th. You'll see a little bit of growth in the Los Banos cases. Merced was kind of on a flat line projectile at that same time. Then you'll see kind of some growth until we get to, what is that, April 13th, April 4th, or May 13th, May 14th, we're flattened. May 3rd, I apologize. May 3rd is when the county established the testing site at the fairgrounds. So you see right around the May 3rd time period, a spike in the city of Merced cases. You still continue to see a flattening of the Los Banos cases. Right around May, I think 10th, no offense to the moms, but I think that was Mother's Day. Then a little after May 10th, you see a little bit of a spike. I don't know if that was related to family gatherings, possibly for Mother's Day, but you'll see a spike, maybe a couple weeks after Mother's Day, and then another flattening in our cases. But at the same time, you continue to see a fairly steep increase in Merced. For us at 58, if you look closely, you see kind of a little kicker there, a little uptick, hoping that doesn't reflect a spike in our future, but you can see a little flicker there of an uptick. But comparing that to the steady growth in the cases in Merced, what could that be attributed to? Possibly face coverings, possibly social distancing, increased testing opportunity in Merced could be reflected in those increased numbers. But you do see definitely a flattening here in Los Banos, a little bit of a spike after May 10th, but again, another flattening. So Councilmember Lewis, I don't know if that addresses your questions or if you do have questions. All right, of course.
I sure can. Maybe. There you go.
All right, so these charts, yeah, it looks like Merced's a lot higher, but they had a testing center there, and it's convenient, so you can easily go 5 minutes and you can get tested. So I'm pretty sure if we tested this whole town, maybe a lot more of us would show positive. But if you were to put the other cities in the county on this same chart, they don't have the mass ordinance that we do, but their numbers are a lot lower than us. So we can't say because these mass, our numbers are lower because of that. Maybe some ways, but you can't formulate it on here because Outwater, Gustine, Livingston, Delhi, Dos Palace, they'd have a lot higher numbers. They don't have the mass ordinance that we do. So their numbers are pretty low. So I'm not a fan of these charts. I think there's a lot of data missing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for the comment. If nothing else, I'll continue, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
So I just did a very quick Google search. This list obviously is not inclusive. Includes a number of counties that do have a mask requirement. There are, I think, 58 counties. So there are obviously some counties missing from this list, but just wanted to give some indication of other counties that do have a masking requirement. There is not that requirement here in Merced County, so I think as we all know, the city of Los Banos' requirement, it goes beyond what the county is doing here. So then moving on to attachment 4. Let me catch up to myself here, sorry. Which we included in the packet to provide some starting point for the council's consideration. is Executive Order 2020-01. We kind of went back and forth. This item had some, a large participation from the city attorney, so we went back and forth on what to include in the packet that might be easy to follow for the council as you have this discussion. So attachment 4, if the council is so inclined, you could amend the executive order. We've included a potential new section 2 for the council's consideration, that would amend section 2 to really be in line with the county's executive order. This section 2 that we've included for your consideration would require the performance of a risk assessment, training of employees relative to COVID-19 and how to avoid the transmission, implementing individual control measures and screenings, implementing physical distancing, and a self-certification process for businesses. Again, completely at the pleasure of the council to continue the executive order, to amend the executive order as suggested in section 2. If we move forward as we move forward, there's a number of options. The council could rescind section 2 altogether. This would lead us back to the county's order relative to the process to open a business safely. And the council could also choose to amend section 3 of the executive order, which could require face coverings for employees and visitors to businesses that have opened as part of stage 2.5 in the business reopening. So again, several options for the council to consider this afternoon relative to the executive order. There are a couple of issues that came up after the preparation of this agenda item. One is as we begin to transition back to council meetings here in the chambers, what do we do in the chambers? Do we require face coverings in the chambers? This room is a little different than the rest of the building. I think we recognize we're doing the public's business in the building or in this portion of the building. So item for council's consideration, how do we handle this room? How do we handle folks who want to come to a meeting in this room? So we'd be interested in hearing direction from the council relative to that. The other issue, you may have noticed signs on the front of the building. We, at this point, face coverings are required for customers that come to City Hall. We are, much like any other business that is having interactions with customers, we have employees that I certainly feel need to be assured that their workplace is safe, that they're coming to a safe work environment. So we'd be interested in hearing direction from you as the council as well about face coverings for customers as they come to City Hall. So let's see, I think that concludes my my presentation. I definitely talked a little more this evening or this afternoon than I usually do. I hope that we tried to outline for the council a way to have the discussion and kind of tee up what we thought were some issues we needed some direction on. So that really concludes my presentation. Staff is available for question. Again, this agenda item had the input from the city attorney. Both the city attorney and I worked very closely on this. So if there are confusing parts of my presentation, I think the city attorney and I may tag team responses and answers to your questions. So with that, I'll turn it over back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Well, I want to get the elephant out of the room before we even discuss this. Because I am sick and tired of listening to people tell me that, Mr. Mayor, open up the rest of the businesses. You can open up everything. I want you to open bars. I want you to open the gyms. I want you to open this. So I want this discussion ended tonight. And all of us are going to participate. If you choose, you can. So where did this stem from? This stemmed from the fact that there were two entities, and I'm not going to go into names because I don't like that. And the two entities basically said that they are not going to enforce the rules. But if you get in trouble, the state can come after you. So what that did is gave the people of Los Banos, some of them, the notion that we can give approval for these businesses that are not open. So I tried to explain as politely as I could that if we give permission and say the city council of Los Banos gives permission for a gym to open, and then someone, God forbid, gets COVID-19. So what happens? That business has a suit against the city of Los Banos because we gave permission to open when no one else in the county did. They're just looking the other way. Another city made the statement, the city manager made the statement, if you open at your own risk. People at the county said, I'm not giving permission for these other businesses to open, but if you open at your own risk. The health director said, if you open at your own risk. So you come to me and you tell me, I want you to give permission to open this up. So I can get the city in a lawsuit if you lose a state license. And believe me, it's not the city of Los Banos that's going to take something away from you. It's going to be another agency. But then if you get that taken away, you come to me and you say, you gave me permission, or the council gave me permission. So if I'm off base, I want someone to correct me now. I want to be corrected by my other 4 council members. I want to be corrected by the city attorney, the city manager. Anyone who wants to correct me, I want them to do it. Anybody? Thank you. So public, you heard that. No response. We are opening the businesses under the county order. The county is opening the businesses under the county order, and the rest of the cities are opening the businesses under the county order. They are not, I repeat, not giving permission. I hate this. You know, I can't see my facial expression. I get, yeah, I can't. Thank you. I am beside myself at times, thinking of what the city council, could do if we went against an order and then we got sued. And you know doggone well that someone's going to figure out a way to get the money out of the biggest source of income in town. Our city attorney, go ahead.
So if I may, Mayor, can you hear me through my mask?
Oh, lovely.
So Los Banos is what's known as a general law city. And in the hierarchy of governments in the state of California, we're kind of low man on the totem pole. It's the state of California. And in terms of a local emergency, it's the county health officer, and then it's the city of Los Banos. As a general law city, the city of Los Banos can only do things that are consistent with the laws of the state of California. And in a situation like a local emergency, can only do things that are consistent with the county health officer's order. So we are hearing that please open up our business, so on and so forth. And maybe we would like to open up the businesses, but we can only open up businesses in conformance with the state order and the county order. So it's known as preemption. The state preempts the county preempts the city in terms of orders dealing with this local emergency, with one exception. And I think some of those exceptions are playing out certainly in Los Banos and other counties, and that is the city's order can be stricter than the state or the county order, as long as it's consistent. So in terms of determining for ourselves which essential businesses can open or not open, that is not a determination that the city has the authority or the power to do. What we've been hearing throughout the county is that some jurisdictions have chosen simply not to enforce the county or city order, but they haven't given orders themselves to open up businesses. So I know sometimes it's a little confusing to try to understand who has what authority to do what, and I don't expect the public to be conversant in the government code and the state laws. But if you just look at it as a hierarchy of who has the most authority, who's the second most authority, and who's on the bottom, the city of Los Banos, in terms of the authority during the local emergency, is on the bottom, and everything that we can do has to be consistent with the orders that are superior to ours. So if gyms, for instance, are in level stage 3, and the state nor the county have opened up stage 3, there's nothing that the city can do to pronounce that we are opening up gyms. As much as we might like to, as much as we might sympathize with those businesses that they're just as safe as walking into a Target or a Walmart with 300 other people, it's not within your jurisdiction to make that call. What is within your jurisdiction is to do things that you believe maybe are a little bit more stringent or more stringent than the county orders, and that is given to you specifically by the county order, which says cities can be more stringent than the county order. So it's kind of this hierarchy that we've tried to tightrope through this COVID-19 pandemic, is making sure that anything that the city is doing is consistent and not inconsistent with what the county is doing. So unfortunately, if you wanted to today to open up all businesses, whether they're in stage 3 or 4, you don't have the authority to do that.
Okay, all right. I'm going to say thank you first for that explanation, but I'm also going to say to the public, I didn't need the attorney to come to my defense on this. And I don't think the city council does either.
So just one last thing, 2020-01, in terms of section 2, is entirely consistent with the county order. All our reworked language on section 2, all that it does is require a self-certification, which is a little bit more detailed than what the county requires, which is what we're allowed to do. So it replaces our original social distancing and protocol plan, that we put together when no one else had one. But now the county has one. And so part of our recommendation is if you want to continue on with some form or fashion of 2020-01, is to incorporate the new section 2, which is almost identical to the county order, with the exception that we're requiring people to post it on their door so that their visitors and customers know that they've gone through the process. The second big issue is the face coverings, and that's section 3. The county's face covering order is worded, they strongly encourage the use of face coverings by employees and customers and visitors. The cities is a stronger order currently, which are requiring the wearing of face masks by employees and customers in a certain segment of the retail community. Now that has been expanded because the governor has required face masks in hair salons and barbershops, as opposed to strongly encourage. So your choice tonight, or your direction tonight, could be to continue on with the required face coverings for customers and employees of retail. And I think kind of it's retail, it's dine-in restaurants, it's convenience stores, it's grocery stores, so on and so forth. Or you could choose to default to the county order, which just strongly encourages the use of face coverings. But the county order also allows, if they choose, to not allow people into their facility if they're not wearing a face mask or face covering, if the business is requiring everyone to wear face coverings. So, you know, we can argue the data all day long. This is something that you did a couple months ago, and so we're just suggesting, we're giving you a couple of options as to how to continue what you did a couple months ago, or maybe relax it a bit to mirror the county order. So that's the direction we would like tonight, because we know that face coverings is a big issue everywhere, not just Los Banos. It's a big issue everywhere. So we wanted this opportunity to have this dialogue so that whatever you decide to do, at least there's some direction to staff to come back with an order that reflects that.
Okay. All right.
Mayor, I have a
All right.
question, please.
Yes.
Mr.
Let me
Ray?
find the right button here.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Try that one.
Okay. Is that okay? Can you hear me? Okay. Mr. Vaughn, I had a question about that, which you've already explained, but it's just for clarification. You stated that the Merced County rule, excuse me, is stated that it leaves it in the hands of the business. Is that correct?
No, it's worded such where it says masks are strongly encouraged when you visit an essential business, and masks are strongly encouraged by employees of businesses. And then it goes on and says that any business can refuse to serve anyone not wearing a mask, which is identical to what we have in terms of the business not having to serve someone without a mask. So it does leave it up to the businesses a little bit more than what our order is, which is telling the businesses how to do it. Which, again, the history of 2020-01 is there was no order in Merced County. There was no county order regarding social distancing in businesses and or the wearing of masks. So the city manager felt it was necessary that we do something because we weren't seeing it happen at the county level. But they have caught up, and they have a very comprehensive order as of May 8th. It's a little bit less restrictive than ours in terms of masks.
Okay. I'm just going to go back to one more point, and then I'll leave that and we'll go on to something else.
I've had my light on for some time, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, you have? I am sorry, Mrs. Lewis. I'm punching these buttons and they're not. Would you please go ahead?
Thank you.
The mics are in reverse right now. Red light means they're muted,
Oh,
at least mine.
okay. Just get the cattle prod, Mr. Faria. Help me out.
Now, she's live.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to make a statement. First of all, in your presentation, Alex, most of those counties were in the Bay Area with the mask requirement. Now, Fresno County, I'm not quite sure what their county ordinance is, but I do know there's one city, and I believe it's Sanger down there, that's just required their residents to wear a mask when they go into covered businesses. There was a statement that you made in your presentation about there were some issues with one person per shopping cart, but you didn't make any reference to what some of those issues were that
can
you
address
may
that.
have information on. Could you share that, please?
I can address that, Ms. Lewis.
Okay.
We got some feedback from the retailers that limiting one person coming into their store per shopping cart was causing issues with people who needed assistance or people with young children. Again, the history of 2020-01 was at that time, back then, the pandemic was fairly new, and we did not want there to be a rush to the Walmarts and Targets of the world by families, needlessly exposing themselves and everybody else, because the stay-at-home order was in place, and you were only supposed to go someplace if it was essential. And it didn't appear to us that it would be essential to take yourself, mom, 5 kids or 3 kids to one of these, to a retail establishment, because that didn't seem to be essential. So we came up with the one person per cart. But I think that's kind of outlived its usefulness. Like a couple can't shop together at Walmart. And I think there's been a lot of feedback to Stacy that that's caused some angst with a lot of people. But again, if we go back to the purpose of that 2 months ago, it was so, when we were having long lines of people trying to get into the stores and people in groups in the stores, I think it served its purpose. And the same thing with the 5 per 1,000. The county order allows the merchant himself to determine what number that should be to allow for safe social distancing. So those are the two things I think, other than masks, that we got more negative feedback about. I think the big merchants like the 5 per 1,000 because it gives them a numeric that they don't have to figure anything out, and 5 per 1,000 appears to be fairly reasonable. They can, I don't know what that means in terms of the capacity of their individual stores, but let's say a 2,000 square foot small shop in downtown Los Banos, you know, they can have 10 people there and at a time, which maybe is more people than they see at any given time during normal times. So that was the idea of the one cart, one person per cart. We think it's kind of outlived its usefulness, frankly.
Well, my take on that, and I understand that some people may have concerns about their children not being with them, or even more so a husband and a wife being able to go and shop together. But the number per 1,000 is where I have some concern.
Yeah,
Because I've shopped at Costco in Stanislaus, and they had no number
and,
in there.
and,
They had no requirement for
and so
numbers in their
the
store.
problem with just saying only allow a number of people in that can social distance, it doesn't give anyone a formula or a numeric to figure that out. The 5 per 1,000 does it for them, and I think it does it for them effectively. And I think all of our retailers, the bigger ones here in town, like it. Matter of fact, I think they suggested the 5 per 1,000. And they like it because it gives them a hard and fast number that they can deal with that appears to be reasonable. until the entire restriction is lifted. But it
I'm
does,
not trying to argue against it. I'm trying to
Yeah.
make a point here, and that is, when I went to that Costco, I went during senior shopping time, which was supposed to be a window of 2 hours. And I was in there less than an hour, and they were allowing other people who were not in the senior age category. And even with that, you know, people had the option of wearing masks, not wearing masks. They were herding together, not allowing people to get through safely from one part of the store to another. So it was impossible to have social distancing based on the number of people that were in the store at that time.
yeah, I think staff
And
likes the 5 per thousand, but we wanted to have the ability to let you have that discussion
yeah,
today.
I just, you know, we don't have a cure for this, and I understand people feeling the way that they do, but then there are many people who don't feel that way. And I'm an advocate for seniors who need to have the ability to be able to feel comfortable and go out and shop and not be crowded by people who don't seem to have the fear or concern, I should say, not fear, the concern about catching COVID virus. Just based on what's happened in our nation here recently, it'll be interesting to see what numbers we're looking at in our
So in
nation.
terms of limitations of the number of people in buildings, I found it a little curious that the County Merced wasn't willing to come up with their own formula. They're leaving it up to the individual business owner to figure it out for themselves, which um, might be okay in most cases, but maybe not. And the 5 per thousand is pretty easy to follow, and then to try to figure out how much square footage do I have, how many people can it accommodate every 6 feet, so on and so forth. And the 5 per thousand appears to work. There were other things we were talking about doing, was like, 25% of your allowed capacity, and I don't know how that equates to the 5 per thousand, but we just kind of fell into 5 per thousand because the retailers at the time were asking for it, and it seemed to be reasonable.
Well, I wanted to make reference to that right now, I think that it still works for our city. Um, Maybe at some point later on this summer, we can review it again. In regards to the number of people per shopping cart, I don't have an issue with it being, at least a husband and wife. The thing that I don't want to see, and maybe it's lessened, is having long lines outside because you've got a family of 7 or 8 going in at one time, and other people have to wait outside for a period of time until more people have come out. So that's my feeling on that. And I certainly, when counties don't have a number of people that can go into a business, it could be a hurting effect and very uncomfortable because the state still has this law in effect of social distancing. And people just start to relax and they don't practice that anymore. It's just the nature of a human being.
So rescinding that part of the order would kind of be a small step to normalcy in terms of how people have shopped, and you still have your 5 per thousand. Yet, could it create lines because there are more people going into the store? I kind of think people are kind of dodging that rule anyway now, and we still have the 5 per thousand, and I know that all of the stores are counting heads coming in and coming out. So, like I said, it just seemed that the one person per cart had kind of outlived its usefulness. But I think as a staff, like the 5 per thousand. But again, these are decisions that are city council type decisions as well. That we want to have direction from you as to which of these things you're in favor of, so we can come back to you with something that follows that direction.
And also for people who have businesses that are not necessarily a box store size, we may create a disadvantage for them because maybe they want customers to wear a mask in their store. just to keep everybody safe, including their
That could be
employees.
part of their plan. They can require masks even if we don't. That could be
I
part of
understand
their
that, but what
plan.
I'm saying is that it kind of sets up a situation where people will boycott them and not, possibly boycott them and not go to their business for that particular reason,
I
and
know a
then
lot of
cause
people
them
who
undue
won't go to a
hardship.
business unless everyone is wearing a mask. So, yeah, to try to please every faction of this issue is a really
It's tough, I know,
tight,
I know
tightrope to
it's a
walk.
juggling game, and it's
Yes.
difficult to juggle.
I-
But I just wanted to express my need, because I know in the reading of one of the letters, you know, it wasn't my name that was mentioned, but I know the reference was there. And, you know, I have to have the broad shoulders to stand up for what I believe in when it comes to making a decision here in these council chambers.
So we tried to focus on Northern California counties, but I would venture to say almost all of the Southern California counties have a mask requirement, and some of them are even stricter than the city of Los Banos in terms of where you can go and when you have to wear that mask. So a mask requirement is not unique. It has engendered something among people, and so it's very emotional for a lot of people. But that's why I think that's why this is in front of you folks tonight, to give us direction. So it's just not staff dictating what that direction should be.
And just for the record, people are able to get flu shots every year, although people die every year from the flu for whatever reason. But with this particular pandemic, we don't have a cure yet. So
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Mayor, one of the things about not rolling this all the way back, rescinding it back to the county's orders, is if we still require a maximum of 5 persons per 1,000 square feet, with this hot sun out there, we run the risk of lines stacking up and maybe people getting sick from heat stroke or anything else. We open up ourselves to lawsuits because these stores are going to fall back to us, say, hey, the city made us do it. I think it's up to the stores to dictate how they feel they need to be safe for their customers, whether some want to be stricter, some want to be less lenient. It's up to them. It is survival of the business, or survival of the fittest when they are in business. And that's it. So if they want to have their customers wear masks, that's up to them. People that don't like that don't need to shop there. People that are afraid to go out to stores that don't have masks on, well, I mean, you got to take your own safety into your own hands. If you got to wear a full hazmat suit, maybe a face shield, so be it. But requiring other people to do the same, I just feel that's out of line. Thank you.
Mr. Faria?
Thanks, Mayor. Let's see, you good? Nope.
You're not
There
on?
we are.
Okay.
Uh,
Wait, no, you're not on.
I-
Let me try this. I apologize, Mr. Faria.
No problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Computers.
All right, try that. You on?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, Los Banos faces challenges that the other county cities don't face because such a large proportion of our population works in the Bay Area, which is such a huge hotspot for this. And that's why I think we're having the conflict, particularly in Los Banos, and the disagreement because a great number of people who don't have that contact with the Bay Area don't realize just how big a deal that is. I'm very pleased to see how we flattened out that curve. And the number that was on that graph today shows that we are actually, per capita, it looks like we're right exactly where Merced is, but Merced shot up and we didn't. And I think that's because of our stricter rules. I'd like to keep the masking rule in place for 2 more weeks to see where this goes. I like the 5 person per 1,000 square feet. If the stores like it, then that's a good idea. I'm not fanatic about that and making it a rule, but I like the idea. And then in City Hall here, I still want to keep the face coverings for anyone coming into City Hall to protect our people. If you know the research, the masks are primarily to protect others from you, not you from others. And that's an unfortunate nature of this strange enemy we're fighting. One adult per cart, I think now is no longer necessary, nor do I think it's being enforced. The stores now, you can see families going in and shopping with full carts and no one's. And then there's something about a recommended allowance for ADA, Disabilities Act, and then children under 2. If we need to make allowances for those, that's fine too. Once again, just keep this caution going, and I'd like to take an incremental approach on this as we open things up. And yeah, I wish we could offer some of these businesses the opportunity for them to open up with their strict rules, but the state won't let us. And the thing is, if we violate those state codes, then we risk losing state money, emergency money, to help us through these hard times, and we don't want to take that risk either. So those are my ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. I was going to continue with my one statement, and that was, there's a big difference, going back to the businesses, there's a big difference between looking the other way and giving permission to open. So I'll just repeat this once more. Looking the other way and giving permission to open. And no city in the county, unless I'm wrong, someone want to correct me, has given permission for businesses to open that are not supposed to open. They did not. They said they were going to look the other way. They did not, and they said if you have a state license, you're on your own. They said they will not enforce the rules. That's what Atwater said. But did they approve the businesses to open? There's a big difference in the fine line as far as the city attorney is concerned. And that fine line is whether the city gets sued. So Atwater protected themselves that way. So if I'm wrong, Bill, can you clarify that?
I haven't really studied the Atwater resolution. It was my understanding they resolved to call themselves a sanctuary city in that they were resolving not to enforce the city or the state orders. But I believe I even saw a press release that you're consistent with what you're saying, Mayor, is that they weren't giving anyone permission to open. They were just indicating that they were not going to enforce a state or a county order that doesn't allow you to open. And in fact, I think they were warning at the time cosmetologists that their state license could be in jeopardy if they opened because they're under the state licensing board. So I don't believe they passed a resolution that says all businesses are open. They passed a resolution that said, politically, we don't believe in enforcing the county or the state order, which in sense was they don't believe there's a local emergency, which they may have jeopardized their state funding by doing that, but that's up to them.
Okay. Thank you.
So
Thank
they don't
you.
have a different setup in terms of determining which businesses can open or not open or so on and so forth. They've just proclaimed that they're not enforcing the county or the state order. I think there is a huge difference there.
Between that and giving permission to open.
Certainly.
Yes. That's the only point I'm trying to clarify.
Mayor, I don't know if my light came on. But...
Well, I will, yes, you're on.
Oh, cool.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Okay, now we're going to move on. We're going to continue with the discussion, if that's okay.
Oh.
Continue with your discussion.
Okay, perfect.
Okay?
Okay, so for me personally, I would like to see the 1 person per cart rescinded and also the masks rescinded to the county order. Originally, when this first came out, as everybody knows, but just to reiterate, originally this is when we first thought of this first came up to us, it was due to our position here in the county the fact that we have so many commuters in town, we're a bedroom community, and we all thought this would be the safest thing to do. And currently, I would like to see that we at least get in, or we are slightly above county order. Would like to see us get back in line with county order. That's for me here. I'm all for opening safely, but I definitely want, I'm completely for opening safely, but I definitely want our residents to know that we are hearing them as we are, and that this is something that we think about day in and day out. So, once again, I would personally like to see the one person per cart rescinded, and then also the mask rescinded to the county order. So if that clarifies my position on that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. I have an idea, and you guys can tell me if you'd like this or not. We can do, first we could vote on if we want to rescind to the county order. We could do that. Or there are 5 separate actions that we can take. And that would be face masks, 1 person per cart, 5 per 1,000, council chamber face masks, and city hall face masks.
Wanna go one by one?
We can go one by one.
Probably the cleanest way to do it.
I think that gets it out perfectly.
Mr. Mayor, can you run through that list again for
Yes,
me, please?
face masks. Yes or no in the public, okay? And I'll explain each position and then correct me if I need to define any more, okay?
Wait, one more on that. You said public, but what about in private businesses where it's optional for the business owner to decide?
No, it would be mandatory. Face
Well, right now,
mask
we don't have it
mandatory?
mandatory in public.
No, not in public, no. Not
We already don't have that.
Right,
But we're
right, right,
sending
right.
it to where it's mandatory.
covered businesses.
Okay,
Does that clarify?
yes.
Okay. Please interact with me so we vote on the right thing, okay?
Okay.
All right. And you're not interrupting me, you're not being rude? Okay, no way. Anybody, please. All right, so that would be face masks in covered businesses. Is that, everyone understand that one?
Let's just open it to all businesses on the face mask, just to,
Yes or no?
we just.
Okay. So it's
Because
either,
that's saying, hey, if a business that's not covered, we're gonna cite, you know. So
Okay.
let's just say all,
we
all
called them
businesses
we called them
not
covered businesses, didn't we?
So a little bit of history on that as well. If you recall, at the time, there were a very small number of businesses that were allowed to be opened, and we were looking for those businesses that were going to attract the most people. I think Mr. Jones' point is well taken. That has been expanded now that we're in stage 2.5. So the mask, the county mask order strongly encourage masks, covers all this open businesses through stage 2.5. So ours doesn't do that. So I think it would be appropriate, whether you're going to strongly encourage masks or require masks, that it be applied to all of this, everything within stage 2.5, and as 3 opens up at 3 as well.
Okay. So it's either required, when I call for the vote, we're going to call for a required face mask vote when it comes up for that. Okay? And because we have got to make sure that we know exactly what we're voting on, because I don't want anyone upset afterwards. So, all right, so the 5 are the face mask being required. The second one would be, not in no particular order, because I'm going to take the weakest ones first. Okay, 1 person per cart. The other one would be 5 persons per 1,000 square feet. Council chamber face masks. And city hall face masks. When walking into city hall, if it's, whether you're going to be required to wear a face mask or not. I have 5. Is that right?
One it up per cart, and then, oh, what about the ADA allowance under,
Oh, that's automatic.
okay,
Yeah, that's automatic.
that's automatic, okay, so then
Okay.
we got 5. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if vote to require masks in businesses, and we want that to count to all businesses, we would be making it stricter.
Under
Because-
2.5.
Yeah, okay, all businesses opening, but I don't want it, I like the face masks in closed businesses, covered businesses, but in open air businesses, I don't think it's required. If we vote on just, on all businesses, then we're.
No,
voting
I think we said covered businesses under
Still covered.
2.5.
Still
Still
keeping
covered.
it covered, okay.
Still covered under
Why don't we
2.5.
just say, rolling that back to what the county order is.
Well, if the vote is no, then we're going to roll it back.
Yeah, that would, yeah.
Yeah. So let me take the weakest one first. Okay. So the first question I'm going to call for. Do we want to keep the one person per cart? All right, that's the first one. And I'm just going to do a roll call vote because it's just probably easier.
You need a vote, you need a motion and a second.
Okay, do we want to keep a roll call vote? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion is to keep,
If I do,
yes. I'm going to make the motions and then, unless you guys want to correct me on something.
Oh, to keep, okay, never mind.
Okay, to keep. And if it fails, then then it's gone.
If there's no second, it fails.
Well, either that or we vote on it and it's gone.
Right.
Okay, so you second that.
No, I'm not, you said keep one adult
Okay.
per cart.
Or do we want to get rid of it?
I want to get rid of it, so I'll withdraw my second.
Okay, make the motion then.
Okay, I would move that we rescind the one adult per cart rule.
Okay, I'll second that one. Okay, are we good? Other three, understand? Are we all right?
That one's terminated.
Well, now we got to vote. Yeah. The vote is to rescind the one cart per person, to get rid of it. Okay, and let's call for the roll call vote. And it is, sheet here. Not that I don't know everyone, but Mr. Freya,
Yes.
Johnson Santos,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Lewis. Villalta, yes. Okay, the one cart per person is rescinded. All right, now let's go to rescind the 5 persons per 1,000 square feet. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, who wants to second that one?
I will.
Right. The motion by the mayor is to rescind the 5 people or 5 persons per 1,000 square feet in, it would be covered businesses? Okay, in covered businesses under 2.5. Still clear with everyone? Okay. And Faria,
Yes.
Santos, Johnson,
No.
no. Okay, Jones,
Yes.
Lewis. Villalta, yes. It is rescinded. The 5.
It was to rescind.
To rescind. 5 people per 1,000. Okay, all right, that's fine. Motion still passes 3-2. Alex, Bill, we all clear still? Okay, good. Please stop me. I don't want any misinterpretation of this. Okay. The next one. I'm going to turn I wrote on the sides of the paper too. Let's go on to City Hall face coverings. To require City Hall face coverings. A yes vote will be to require City Hall face coverings. If it doesn't pass, the answer will be face coverings will not be required. Is that clear? Who would like to second that?
If it does not
You
pass.
said if it does not pass.
If it does not pass, it's no face coverings.
Okay, so
If
we're
it,
we're voting to rescind.
no. We're voting for the face coverings at City Hall. So a yes vote means you want face coverings, and a no vote means you do not want face coverings at City Hall. Are we clear, everyone? Okay, who would like to second that?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Villalta, second by Johnson Santos. A yes vote means that we will require face masks at City Hall. A no vote means face mask will not be required. Anyone not clear on that? Okay. Faria,
Yes.
Johnson Santos,
Yes.
Jones,
No.
Lewis. Villalta, yes. Masks are required at City Hall.
And the clarification, Mayor, is
yeah,
for
to
the public, sorry, Alex.
For customers, I'm assuming that's for customers coming to City Hall.
Yes, for everyone. Yes, face masks are required to enter City Hall.
All right.
Are we still clear on the votes? Is everybody still good with that? Okay. All right, no misinterpretation. Okay, next one. You know I'm saving the face coverings for the public for last. Okay, the next one. Council chamber face masks. I made this a separate item because I think it's important enough. So a yes vote would mean that face masks are required within the council chambers at all events and meetings. Is that clear enough? Anyone? Okay. A yes vote would mean that face masks are required in the council chambers for, do I say any event, Bill, that takes place in the council chambers?
I would just say they're required, period.
They're required in the council chambers. Okay. Who wants to second that? Second by Mr. Faria. Motion by Villalta, second by Faria. A yes vote means that face masks will be required. A no vote means they will not be required. Faria.
Yes.
Johnson Santos.
Yes.
Jones.
No.
Lewis. Villalta, yes. Okay. All right. The last one. Face masks in covered businesses under 2.5. All businesses in 2.5. And just to clarify, beauty salons, barber shops, theirs is mandatory already. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Under the state guidelines, correct?
Under the state guidelines, they are mandatory.
Yes.
All right. Is there any other business or organization or religious services, are they required to have masks? Or is that up to the parishes or
They have their own state order.
they have their own state order?
Mhm.
I just explain that, I'm sorry.
The governor pronounced their order, I believe, they're only required to limit the number of folks they have in there, and they can't sing. And I'm not sure about the face masks.
Okay, all right. Okay,
Are they? They're required to wear face masks and social distance. The way we wrote it up for you to consider tonight was any business open to the public.
okay, okay. All right. So a religious organization is not a,
Pardon me?
so a religious organization is not a business then?
No.
It's just, okay. That's what I want to hear.
And Mayor, for my clarification, if I could,
Yes, let me
Sorry.
do something. Yes, go ahead.
for my clarification, if I could, for the face masks, we are, if this becomes a no vote, then we are rescinding to the county rule, correct?
No, face masks would be optional in the council chambers.
No, we got past that part
We're
already.
past that.
No, we're talking about covered business.
cover, yes.
Oh, God. I'm
So if you leave it to just 2.5, we got to come back when when the state goes to 3.0, we have to come back and move it again.
We have to vote on that again.
So
That seems a little tedious,
So
right?
excuse me, the language that I prepared was that currently open businesses and any businesses that open in the future pursuant to county or state order.
Okay.
So
Okay.
either, the question is, for all of that lump of businesses where there's not a stricter state rule, do you want to go with the county strongly encourage, or do you want to go with the mandatory? There are some businesses that's mandatory that we can't change anyway. So it's essentially all of those businesses that are not mandatorily required by the state. Do you want to include them in terms of mandatory, or do you want to go with the county order strongly encouraging? That's really the question at hand.
Okay. So a yes vote, now let's be very clear. The yes vote would be,
Extending the requirement of of our current order to all businesses open to the public and to be open to the public in the future, not otherwise dealt with by individually by the state.
okay. Extend the face mask order, a yes vote would extend the face mask order to the businesses covered under 2.5. Is that simple enough?
2.5 and to open up under 3 and 4.
And to open up under 3 and 4. And that, no, you're
And
out
I
the
would
door.
just like to comment, you guys are going through a lot of information here. We would like the ability to bring back the actual document for you, because it's a lot more complicated than just how you're stating the vote. So we would like your vote to be conditioned upon us bringing back a document that reflects this vote tonight, which I.
But the decisions we're making tonight give you the information that you need. Is
Yes.
that
Yeah,
correct?
that would
Th-
provide
th-
us
that-
the direction
Because
to,
this is a lot more complicated than just no masks. So
Right.
It needs some language.
As it is, this is already confusing for the general public, so, I
Right.
mean, we just need to make it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
If the state opens back up, and we still have to wait on us to get to a Wednesday night meeting to
No,
open up the Los
I
Banos,
wouldn't.
I wanna make sure we don't do that.
No, I wouldn't contemplate that. All I'm asking is, I'm asking that your vote tonight be subject to us bringing back a document that reflects your vote tonight.
Okay.
So,
so, excuse me, we'll take the direction and the votes that coming from the council this evening, put it into
a new resolution for you.
a new resolution for your
ratify.
consideration at a future date. We'll need to look at the timing, because I don't know when our executive order will expire, so we'll look at the timing, but we will come back. If we need to have a special meeting, we could certainly schedule that
We have one tomorrow.
based on your schedules. I think we might need a little more time.
So if we remove the face mask as mandatory, it's gonna take a few days, maybe a week, before we can actually take them off? I mean, that's.
I would say we could, I mean, give us some time to do that. We need to come up with something reasonable between the city attorney and I to present to you. We do have a meeting tomorrow. I don't know that we'll have enough time between now and tomorrow to
So
put that
the issue,
together.
Councilman, is just to make it clear to the businesses that have to follow this as to what it is you're asking them to rescind or not rescind. So we should reduce that to a writing that you approve based
We
on
have
this
to come
vote.
back and vote on that again.
Mhm.
That just
Based
seems
on the
really
information we give you tonight.
Correct.
Yes.
I mean,
Okay. So the motion before you is, if it's a yes vote, to continue to require face masks under 2.5 and further orders. Okay, a yes vote means the masks stay. A no vote means that we revert back to the county order. Is that clear? Clear? All right.
Before we head on, I don't even know if this is even plausible. Are we allowed to expect like a week with period, or is that something we can ask for? To see something back maybe within a week or so, an actual whole week? Or?
Essentially, in your packet is a lot of the language that you are dealing with tonight. So it just is a little bit of tweaking that language.
Okay,
So it's not a big, long, involved process.
okay,
But there is already language in the resolution before you tonight that does a lot of the things that you're talking about doing tonight. So it isn't a lot of drafting. So it won't take very long. You could, you could essentially make it effective tonight if you wanted to without, and have us come back for you to ratify the writing if that's what you want to do. By doing that, you don't give any of these businesses really any direction as to what's really going on. If it's as simple as eliminating 5 per 1,000 and one shopping cart, one person per shopping cart, that could be, those things could be effective immediately. We could roll that out. So it's at your pleasure. I think we contemplated tonight was direction, and we've done a lot of the legwork in anticipating what that direction would be. If you want to make it effective tonight, you can do that, but we still need probably have a writing to confirm what it is you've done.
would it be like about a week out, or is that still just kind of based on how far you guys get along on that one?
Oh yeah, I
okay
think it could be done within that time frame easily.
Okay, thank you.
All right. A yes vote maintains the masks currently in place. A no vote reverts back to the county order as optional. Does everyone understand that? Any questions?
Do we have a motion and a second already done?
I need a second now.
I'll second, keeping the mask order in place.
Okay? All right. So I'm going to call for the vote now. Mr. Faria,
Yes.
Mrs. Santos,
No.
Mr. Jones,
No.
Mrs. Lewis. Villalta, yes. And in 2 weeks, I would like to bring that back again and make it a standing order to bring it back every 2 weeks on the mask and continue to do so.
I agree.
Okay?
So actually the language of what you just did is already drafted in that sample resolution under one of the alternatives.
Okay? Good. Good.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And this is for our city attorney. On the motion that, for the rescinding of 5 people per 1,000, which has been rescinded, with social distancing still in place, does that leave it to the store to decide what they're going to do?
Yeah, under the county order, they're to do their own risk assessment in order for them to limit the number of people in their establishment to maintain social distancing. But it doesn't give them a formula.
It doesn't give them that?
Doesn't give them the formula, but they're ordered to come up with a limitation of the number of folks in their business in order to maintain social distancing.
So are they required to give a copy of that formula back to the county?
I don't believe so. That's one of the suggestions we made, was for them to have to post that checklist that they've actually done that on their door.
Okay, but within the county, who verifies that? Right now, it's a posting on the door for us. What are they required to do under the county?
Nothing other than to do it.
So it's kind of like what I described at Stanislaus County. You know, they just let any number of people in, and you're required to do your own social distancing.
That's why we wanted the certification, so that if our code enforcement went into a business, they could see that they've gone through the checklist and they've done their assessment. And then whatever it is they've determined is their plan would be on that checklist. So code enforcement could determine whether they're following their own plan. I don't really believe the county has any intention to enforce that. I could be wrong. Stacy's in touch with them more than I am, but
No, the county
they're
would,
not going to enforce it.
the county would not be enforcing
So I
it.
would draw your attention to the resolution that was in your packet. The second alternative is pretty much what I understand you've done with the mask tonight. So that language is already prepared. And it does eliminate the 5 per thousand and the, so in answer to Mrs. Johnson Santos's question, this language could be tweaked just slightly and it wouldn't take long at all. If you'll notice, it says all businesses and organizations authorized to remain open or which are allowed to reopen pursuant to the county order are required to have their folks wear masks. So we're probably we have 95% of this, what you're doing tonight already on paper.
We good?
So were they gonna adopt the rest of it though?
No, what I understood they were doing tonight was giving us direction. We gave them some language to consider. I would like to know whether you would like the self-certification of the county requirements for reopening, which we're strongly suggesting that you do, replacing our social distancing protocol because it follows the county order with the one exception that it requires them to self-certify and post it at their business.
But that doesn't stop anyone from opening. It's just, they're gonna self-certify
Well,
and they're gonna post it.
Under the county order, they're supposed to go through that process before they open. And so all we're requesting is that they certify that they've done that before they open and that they post their plan so that if there's any enforcement activity, their plan is there. We don't want them to file it with the city. We want them to post it.
Just,
And
yeah, we're not gonna, yeah, it's gonna be posted outside their business, that's all.
so we would like to use that's set forth in section 2 of that resolution as an alternative to our social distancing sanitation protocol because it follows, we don't want them having to do both. We want them to follow the county process with the one addition, which is they have to self-certify.
But either way, they're self-certifying. With us, they're
True.
just posting it on the door.
True, but under the county order, they don't have to self-certify.
There is no requirement under the county order for certification or self-certification.
So we just thought it was kind of a on your honor kind of thing. That we want people to go through that seriously and do what the county's requesting them to do. And we want them to self-certify that by posting it on their door.
But the county's still asking them to do that.
Asking, but
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
They're requiring them. They're just not
Yeah.
requiring them to
Yeah,
certify it.
yeah. You know, I don't know. So, okay. All right, so do you want that in a separate motion?
I'd like to know from direction whether you want to include that in what we're bringing back to you.
All right, so the question is, a yes vote will mean that the self-certification will be filled out and posted on the window of each business. That's all.
As an addition to the county order.
As an addition to the county order. A yes vote means that the self-certification will be filled out and posted on the business window in addition to the county order, which does not stop anyone from opening. I mean, it's not something that a person is gonna say, I can't do this and I can't open. That's not what this
No,
is.
but they're supposed to do it before they do.
They're
open.
supposed to do it anyway. The county says it's supposed to do it anyway. All right.
If we vote no on that, what happens to them?
Revert back to the county order.
Which just makes them do it without any self-certification. So again, all we're doing for the ease of enforcement for us is to have some document that we know what their plan is. If there's a complaint about their business, they'll have their plan certified on their window because we're not going to keep the plan. And if code enforcement goes there, they'll know what the plan is, and if it's obvious that they're violating their own plan, then they're gonna be told to bring it up to their own plan. Right now, we wouldn't know what their plan is. They could just open up without a plan for, if they really wanted to. So all we're doing is trying to keep these businesses honest, to follow what the county has asked them to do, which is a 5-point checklist before they open,
Okay,
correct?
all right.
Yeah, the purpose basically was to educate the business as to what they needed to do to open up. And we just wanted to make sure that people did that. We think that's important for them to educate themselves on what they need to do to protect themselves and other people, and to certify it. So that if,
The only thing I'll add is we're required that the businesses would be required to do what the county and the state is requiring them to do. This is really a very simple checklist. It's a very simple form that can be filled out in probably 5 minutes. They sign it, post it at the front door.
it actually would be a help to them, I
Yeah.
think.
Wait a minute.
This would be for every business.
For every business. Then what's the difference from before then? I mean, didn't they have to do that before with us?
Yeah,
on
we
our-
called it, we called it something totally different, and it was like a 2-page form, and it's like different from what the county's requiring. So
So they never had to do the county one?
the county one is new as of May 8th.
Okay.
But it's a lot simpler now.
Yeah, so what we want to
Okay.
do is simplify our process by just adopting the county process, but requiring a self-certification so that if we want to enforce it, we have something to enforce.
Only if we want to enforce it.
Which would, I'm not going to speak for the chief, but I think it's just on a complaint basis. If someone complains about,
You're gonna get complaints no matter which way you do it.
And the other part of it, the other part of it is for customers going in the store to be able to look at the door, see that the business has done what they're supposed to do. So
I mean, I'll tell you, I mean, we have such a burden on our police department. They don't need to take on anymore. And you know what? These businesses, they were operating just fine before we got involved. So I don't want to put any more work on them. All right, let's do it.
Okay. All right. So a yes vote is to post and adopt the county process to self-certify and to post on the window, which is simpler than the form that's already required by us. All right. Mr. Faria?
Yes.
Mrs. Santos?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
And Villalta, yes. Okay, so we've simplified that. Is there anything else we need to give you direction on?
I don't think so. I just want to.
What about the emergency order, the first resolution?
that one needs to be adopted tonight, or
Okay.
at least considered tonight
All
for
right.
adoption.
But not 6223.
No, I think you've given us direction on how to tweak that one in accordance with what you've done tonight.
Okay, and so again, since 6222 was so long ago, this is so we can get in line to collect money.
Just to extend the local emergency, so yes, so that there still is a local emergency here, and all of our efforts after today are subject to reimbursement from the
Okay,
state.
good, good. Okay, do I have a motion on City Council Resolution 6222 as read by title? Let me try that, Mr. Faria. We gotta get this.
There it is.
There we go.
I'll move to adopt City Council Resolution Number 6222 as read by title.
Do I have a second? Mrs., is it on? Yeah, it's on. Go ahead. Okay, motion by Freya, second by Johnson Santos for the approval of 6222 as read by title. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
Yeah,
No?
no.
No. Okay. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped the gun on that one. Mine's, I'd like to change it to a yes.
Okay, thank you.
On 6222.
6222, yes.
Thank you, sorry.
Okay, no problem. All right, motion carries 5-0. All right, we've been here 2 hours and, yes.
Before we move on, I thought
what's the possibility?
We tossed around some time periods. I thought I heard you say 2 weeks at one point.
That
the
was,
next
I'm
meeting.
going to review the face mask order in 2 weeks again.
And you want this new order back to you in 2 weeks.
Council? Okay? 2 weeks?
I'm good with that.
All right, 2 weeks. All right.
Thank you.
If you get it sooner and we have to have a special meeting, we'll have a special meeting.
All right, thank you.
All right. Okay, are we done with this?
I am.
Okay, good. All right. We've been at this 2 hours and 28 minutes. I'm going to take a break.
How long?
5, 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, we're back. And if the council, please doesn't, they don't have any problem, I'd like to take 10 and move it up where item 8 is. And our public hearing now would be the new 10. So and put item 8, not item 10, item 8, and item 8 would be item 10. Is that okay with everyone? Okay, all right. All right. Oh, yes, okay. The new item 8 is consideration of adoption of City Council Resolution number 6225, approving to study community choice aggregation, CCA, and partnership with Peninsula Clean Energy, PCE, and authorize the city manager to sign and submit PG&E data forms to conduct a technical study load analysis. And we're going to go to Alex. Do you want to introduce this, please?
I would say Director Elms, Mayor.
Oh, okay. Let's do that. All right. Got it?
Mr. Mayor. So I'm going to keep this brief, but I would like to introduce Sean Marshall from Peninsula Clean Energy, who has a presentation for you today regarding the community choice aggregation and a partnership with Peninsula Clean Energy.
Sean, if you would
Okay.
like to come to the
Welcome,
podium.
Sean.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, council members. If it's okay with you, I would like to remove the mask for the presentation, if
Okay.
it's okay. If it's not, I'll figure it out.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. I can breathe. Okay, so good evening. My name is Sean Marshall. I am working with Peninsula Clean Energy on their outreach to communities in the county of Merced. Before I get started with tonight's presentation, I would like to dial in the CEO of Peninsula Clean Energy, Jan Pepper. I believe many of you have met her over the past year. She is a council member and had other obligations this evening, so she couldn't join us. But I am going to dial her in. So one moment, please. See if this technology works.
Hey, Sean.
Hi, Jan. It's Sean and the council member and staff down at the city of Los Banos. Can all of you hear Jan?
Yes. Hi, Jen.
Hello.
Jan, I'm just going to dive into the presentation now. And I thought I'll just go ahead and cover all the slides and if you like, and then if you would like to just weigh in if I miss anything or if there's questions. But before I get started, is there anything you'd like to say before I dive in here?
I just would like to say hello to everyone. I've met you before and hope you're all staying safe, and thank you for having us here today.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jan. Just going to put my phone down, all right?
Let me get another microphone.
Okay, so I did want to just give you a quick little bit about my background with this topic. As mentioned, I'm working with Peninsula Clean Energy, but my roots go all the way back to 2005 in the county of Marin when we started Marin Clean Energy and launched that program in 2010. I subsequently started a nonprofit organization called Lean Energy US. We now move about the state and the country supporting cities and counties. Excuse me. Okay, thank you, great. We support cities and counties in the investigation and research and implementation of CCA programs, in particular in the state of California. And so far, we have done 10 of them with successful launch and fruition. So just a little bit about my background, and I invite any questions as we move through the slide deck. I will make this as quick as possible because I know you have several other items. So with that, if we could go to the next slide, please. Oh, I can take us to the next slide. Thank you. Great. So we're going to just do a quick recap of the recommended actions. Your mayor has already done that for us, so we'll move through that. We'll have a brief overview of community choice aggregation and the mechanics of how it works. I invite any questions through any of that. I'll have an overview of Peninsula Clean Energy and the opportunity that is before you to engage in further investigation around what's possible, and then a review of timeline and next steps. I don't need to go into any further detail on these recommended council actions other than to mention that embedded within the staff report is also a discussion of a modest matching payment, if you will, matching contribution to the technical study of $5,000. That number would go down if other communities in the county of Merced choose to participate in the joint technical study, which we'll be discussing. So now diving into the content here, I'm certain that all of you have seen a version of this illustration. We use it a lot, and it's just a way to explain what is in essence a functional partnership between a local government or a group of local governments and the incumbent utility, in our case, Pacific Gas and Electric. So in this case, local government or group of them forms a community choice aggregation program. We're talking tonight about Peninsula Clean Energy, that then purchases electricity on your behalf and or develops electricity on your behalf, such as the Wright Solar Project in your backyard, and then partners with the utility, in our case, Pacific Gas and Electric, that continues to maintain the pole and wire infrastructure to deliver the power. If the power goes out, you still call PG&E. They also handle consolidated customer billing and certain programs that remain available to all customers, whether or not you're with PG&E or the CCA. So that at the end of the day, at the end of this illustration here, the customer, be it a residential customer or a business customer, is really benefiting from not only having the utility still in the business of all of the capital improvements and the pole and wire infrastructure, but benefiting from cleaner power at lower rates. And we're going to talk about that coming up. Any questions on that basic description of what CCA is? Okay. Sorry, council member, I will look all the way over to you. Okay. Why would you consider CCA? Why would you consider joining Peninsula Clean Energy? Because I believe that really is the proposition that is potentially before you as you move forward. The first is consumer choice. So as you all know, the state of California, up until a few years ago, has been what we call a vertically integrated utility state. It's a monopoly utility structure where the primary utilities or public utilities does everything soup to nuts. In this case, like 50% of the rest of the country, what CCA does is offer an option for competition and customer choice where there currently is none. And I want to underscore customer choice because even though the CCA provides service and is provided on an opt-out basis, the customer always has the choice to either stay with the CCA or return to bundled service with the utility. So it really does offer a true choice. The other reason to consider CCA, and we've seen this across the state and across the country, is lower rates. Right now, Peninsula Clean Energy is offering for their default product a 5% discount off of electric generation rates, which would be available to your customers should you choose to move forward. The other reason to consider it is meeting your carbon reduction targets and any of your potential climate action activities that that you have as goals for the city of Los Banos. We'll talk about what PCE is offering here in a minute, but you are able to achieve many of your AB 32 and other compliance goals through participation in CCA. And last but not least, local economic and community development. I think the Wright Solar Project is just a prime example of exactly what this means, so that you have the opportunity, if it makes sense, to develop local power projects, to employ local people, and to have local projects and programs that serve your community. Sorry about how detailed this slide is. I'm going to cruise through it, but I'm going to walk you through the process and the nuts and bolts of how this would work. So first up, local governments participate by adopting an ordinance. That ordinance is statutorily required, and filing an implementation plan. In this case, Peninsula Clean Energy would do that for you by amending their implementation plan and submitting it on behalf of you as the new member agency. There is extensive public outreach and customer noticing prior to any customer enrollment. That piece is very, very important. There's lots of examples of how that is done very well so that people are not surprised and people know they have a choice. Third, customers are enrolled on an opt-out basis. So that means customers are enrolled. They have the option to either pick up the phone, go onto a website, or send a letter to opt out at any time to remain with PG&E bundled service. Or they have the option to opt up, if they want, to the 100% green product. Item 4, CCA. The CCA, in this case Peninsula Clean Energy, becomes the default electricity provider and handles all the customer switching. So the good news is when we started in Marin, this was sort of a painful process because this was brand new with Pacific Gas and Electric. There are now 21 operational CCAs in the state of California, so I'm happy to report this process is now much more streamlined, much smoother, and we've worked out all the bugs. The utility, as I mentioned before, continues to provide gas services. This is an electric choice. It continues to handle consolidated customer billing, power transmission and distribution, and grid maintenance. So all the capital improvements to the grid are handled by the utilities. Electric generation charges, including exit fees, appear as a new line item on the bill. All of the other charges remain the same. We're going to look at a sample bill so you see what I'm talking about. Importantly, PG&E discounts for low-income care customers and FERA customers remain in place. Those do not change. And so we feel like that's a benefit and important. And finally, the California Public Utilities Commission does have oversight, state oversight regarding power reliability, planning, and compliance. So it is a collaborative model with the CPUC, the CEC, the utility, and the CCA program. Next up, there's a lot of detail here, so we're not going to go into all of it, but I just want to point out here that customers continue to receive their bill from PG&E as they always have. The electric generation, there will be a new charge for electric generation that would say Peninsula Clean Energy, and then there is a credit offered by the utility that shows the differential there. Typically, that credit is higher than what you're being charged because you're saving money. And then there's also an exit fee. So this is just to point out that it's all spelled out on the customer bill, but you continue to receive it and pay it as you always have through PG&E. CCA is growing in California. As I mentioned before, I've been at this since the first one launched in 2010. And in 10 years, we've gone from one program all the way now up to 21 operational CCAs. Currently working with the San Diego CCA program, which is going to serve 1 million customers in 2022. And I'm also working up in Butte County, which is a smaller program for Chico and the county of Butte. And so now what's happening is CCAs like Peninsula Clean Energy are getting very interested in looking at that state map and saying, okay, fine, it's fine that a lot of the coastal communities have become involved in this. Let's really move to the Central Valley and talk about what's possible here and the benefits that can be brought. So shifting now into the details of Peninsula Clean Energy and the opportunity that you have before you. So specifically tonight, what we are asking for is authority to move ahead with a technical study that hopefully will include other communities in the county that looks at what's possible in terms of rate savings and other opportunities here. So this list here is just a high-level list of some of the things that we think would matter to you. One is a very low cost to participate in the technical study. The technical study costs about $30,000. Right now, we are seeking a $5,000 match. That will go down if other communities participate. Minimal time and cost required to join the JPA. So one of the benefits of joining an existing program rather than starting your own is that you don't have millions of dollars in startup costs and loan requirements and financing required to stand your own program up on its own. You're basically plugging in to a fully operational, functional program and being able to, a little further down, separate your accounting so that you have fiduciary oversight and control over those revenues and expenditures. So that's a unique thing. Even though you would be joining the JPA, you still are able to really see, without cross-subsidization, how that financial situation plays out. Importantly, you would have a seat on the PCE Board of Directors. So you would, just like any other JPA, you would join the Board of Directors and be part of the governance and policy decision-making. You would have access to power generated by Wright Solar. And I know this is something that many of you have stated is important to you. Right now, Peninsula Clean Energy, that project is generating power. It's serving the needs of approximately 75,000 households. And a portion of that power could be allocated and would be allocated to serve the Los Banos load if you so choose. So that is a very real thing, and we're excited to talk more about that. You would receive the current 5% discount on electric generation rates. We've already discussed the separate accounting and fiduciary oversight. You would receive funding for local programs commensurate with the revenues that come in on behalf of the city of Los Banos. And PCE would likely consider placing a staff person here in the city or within the county to address issues that may arise and just have a local presence, a local office. Any questions on that? Okay.
One moment, Dave.
Yes, sir.
You said, I read here, it says current 5% discount. Does that change?
With Peninsula Clean Energy, it has not changed since
Okay.
they launched in 2016.
Okay.
That doesn't mean it won't. So there's no guarantee embedded in this, but customers always have the choice to opt out if they're not satisfied with the discount they're receiving.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll move now to just some quick highlights about PCE, the organization. I've just mentioned that it was launched in 2016. I'm proud to say that I helped do that. Really, now having done 10 of these, I can just personally say it's one of the more solid boards of directors up and down the state, really well led by Jan Pepper and her team. They have maintained the discount that we just referenced and at the same time have rolled out a slew of really innovative programs, which we'll go over. So hats off to PCE. I think you guys have targeted yourselves wisely in that regard. They're now currently serving 300,000 electric accounts in the county of San Mateo. They have a 97.6% participation rate, which means they only have a 2.3%? Can't do math tonight. Opt-out. So all of those customers have chosen to stick with the program. They have an annual customer savings of 18 million. And just last year, they received their investment grade credit rating from Fitch, which means that PCE is among a very small number, like 2, along with Marin Clean Energy, that has a credit rating, which means that they get to confer the benefits of better optionality for contracts and better terms, which then are passed on to potential rate savings to the customer. They have an Eco Plus and an Eco 100 product. So if you all chose to move forward, once we get the study done, and if you choose to move forward, your customers would be automatically enrolled in the Eco Plus. As we've said, it's the 5% reduction. It's currently at a 50% renewable portfolio with 95% carbon free. Certainly helps the city achieve whatever climate change or clean power goals you may have. And then there's an option for customers if they want to go further and opt up to the 100% product, they may do so at a small price premium. But that's a voluntary opt-up if they choose. You all have seen, I think, the specs on the Wright Solar Park. Some of you may drive by it all the time. It is a 200 megawatt project. It is now operational starting in January, just earlier this year. The power output does serve 75,000 homes. It was done with a 5-party labor agreement and local labor. And it has generated over 400 jobs when the project was being installed. This is an example of the type of project that PCE would like to do more of all over the state and possibly here in the county of Merced, if that makes sense. They are committed to prevailing wage and hiring local qualified labor. And that's that economic development piece that is a core value for them. Local solar creates local jobs. This is just a clip from an article in a publication called Operating Engineers, highlighting the project. And there are a couple of quotes in here from one of the local workers that says, "I get a chance to go home. You don't have to drive all over the state or stay somewhere else in order to be employed and do the development of these projects." So we do consider Wright a best project throughout the state, best practice project. Earlier, I referenced, and hopefully you got a copy of PCE's recently released Community Impact Report that delineates the many programs. I'm just going to highlight a few here tonight. The first of which is a new pilot project for backup power for medically vulnerable residents in times of power outages. So you all are probably familiar with PG&E's PSPS events during fire season. We've all suffered those. They're working on a portable battery program for low-income and vulnerable customers to deploy this summer at the beginning of fire season. The next program is their Healthy Home Connect, which offers remediations and energy upgrades to low-income residents free of charge. And they are partnering with a local company and an agency to do that. Their Drive Forward Electric program helps low-income customers purchase electric vehicles with incentives of up to $4,000. And they can be used cars too, which actually brings the value of that even greater. And finally, they are offering grants for clean energy teaching fellowships if K through 12 teachers are interested in developing curriculum for their classrooms. So all of this is just an example of the kinds of programs that you may choose to pursue in the city of Los Banos. Certainly not required, But just an example of the kinds of things that may be of interest.
I have a question before you move forward.
Yes, council member.
You have these various programs for low incomes, but what about seniors that are on fixed income? I rarely see companies talk about them. And, you know, sometimes that could be a burden for them as well. So
Absolutely.
what are you doing for them?
Jan, I don't know if you heard that. This is a question from Councilmember Lewis regarding if there are any special programs for seniors on fixed incomes in San Mateo County.
Thank you for the question. We don't have anything particular in that. If someone is a CARE or a FERA customer, meaning they're on a low-income rate already with PG&E, we just recently offered or provided a $100 bill credit for any customers that are on that program because of the impacts of COVID and the high unemployment and that's going on right now. So that was about 36,000 of our customers who are on that program that received that $100 bill credit. The other program, the backup power for medically vulnerable, again, you know, a number of the medically vulnerable residents may be seniors who are relying on medical equipment for their health. When PG&E shuts off the power because there's a danger of a fire, those people are in a bad situation. So that's why we're doing this battery program to have a clean energy alternative for customers to be able to stay in their homes and have the power that they need for their medical equipment.
Right. And I would also add, council member, that these will be some of the kinds of decisions that you all could make for your program here. So there's no assumption that you automatically plug into this list. There may be opportunity for you to design your own programs that suit the needs of your own community. So there's quite a bit of flexibility.
Yeah, these impact values that you've given here in regards to low income, is that standard across the board for your program, or?
For
is
all
this by-
CCAs?
Yes.
The dollar value of those impacts will be different depending on the CCA and where it is and the size of the program. So are you asking about Peninsula Clean Energy only or
Well, it
CCAs?
says Healthy Home Connection offering healthy home remediation and repairs for low income. And a lot of these things are referred to low income. It doesn't say that it has to be in a particular district or a particular city or anything like that.
Correct.
So that's why I brought the question up, because, you know, PG&E has low income, Comcast gives for low-income families, connection rates and things like that.
Right.
But it seems like seniors are always left out, and not every senior has a major medical problem where they have to be hooked up on oxygen or
Right.
some sort of mechanical device that they have to use on a regular basis. So it just seems to me that, you know, it's just a group of people that have been forgotten in the whole scheme of things. And so I guess
So to answer your
like to see
question,
them there.
that program, all of these programs are offered throughout their service territory, which right now is the county of San Mateo. If you chose to join, these would be some of the options you could have here. And as I said before, your point is well taken. If the city wanted to carve out a program that focused on seniors, we would figure out a way to do that. So that's what I'm saying, is that there's some optionality here going forward if you choose to move forward. Okay?
Not
Any-
that Mrs. Lewis is a senior, but you know, she's.
No, it's a good point. It's a good point. And the truth is, the seniors are included in that low-income group of folks, right? There's just, whoever qualifies under that low-income threshold, that person could be 30, that person could be 60. So, but to your point, it's well taken. Okay, so moving on here. Oh,
You can use that microphone to put it right next
We're
to it.
talking to a nonprofit in Half Moon Bay called Senior Coastsiders, and they're the ones who we're going to be working with for the outreach to find, to locate the people that can best take advantage of this program.
Yeah.
So, but as Sean mentioned, you know, this is this is a program we're putting together that makes sense for San Mateo County. And were we to be also serving Los Banos, we would, work with you to put together programs that are appropriate for your community.
Thank you, Jan. Anything else before we move on? Okay, moving on. Next slide here is the path ahead. So this sort of gets to the heart of the matter of what we're really asking for tonight. We're not asking you to make a decision about whether to join or do CCA or whatever. At this point, what most cities and counties do is do the technical study to figure out, to analyze your load data, figure out what its impact is on PCE's existing data, figure out within your different customer classes, what kind of rate savings can, be realized, and just doing some of the financial analysis and the economic impact analysis. So that study, I've listed out a couple of the elements of that scope. They'll do a risk analysis, and a lot of these have been done. So the good news is we're not having to reinvent the wheel here. But a piece of this would be unique to your situation would be the JPA integration and process, just to lay out the steps on how that would work. As I mentioned before, the study could include other communities within the county of Merced. So we are speaking with the county, the city of Gustine, the city of Merced, and others. That June 23rd is the deadline to participate in that study, because there is a pretty tight timeline for the rest of this year. We anticipate that the study will be completed by mid-August, at which time we would come back to you with the results and present the results, and then you would have a second choice to make about whether or not to proceed. Any questions about the study?
So you mentioned there's a few
Mrs.
other
Lewis,
cities-
speak into the microphone.
a few other cities that are looking at the study, Merced County, the city of Merced, there was another one you mentioned.
Gustine.
But there's not been any agreement that's been signed to move
Correct.
forward at this point.
In fact, we think, and hello to everybody, we think they're watching tonight and interested to know what you all will do, and then we'll be circling back with them. But there have been discussions on and off with all those communities over the last several months to a year.
And the $5,000, that's for the study.
Correct.
And that would be, if you had more than one city, that would be divided over the cities who join in for the study.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's capped, essentially. It's capped at 5,000 shared.
All right.
But, so moving forward, as I've talked to Jan many times about this, and you know what I'm going to ask.
I don't know, but please do.
Jan knows. So if we decide we can be part of a JPA, but we can also be an independent that makes the decisions for any benefits that come to our city. Is that correct?
Within PCE, that is correct.
Okay,
That is correct.
yeah.
Or you can start your own. The economics of that are a much different proposition than what we're
Correct.
talking about tonight.
But if we joined with another group and the benefits that came to our city will not be shared with anyone else, it will benefit our city for what we decide.
Correct. So this is what I was referring to earlier.
Yeah.
And I will say, hats off to PCE for basically setting up a separate accounting system,
Yes,
a separate chart of accounts for the city of Los Banos, so that you know what the revenue and expenses are and what's left to do programs. So they've agreed to do that, yes.
yeah. And Jan and I have spoken about this for over a year.
Yep.
And so,
There's a commitment to do that.
okay, fantastic.
All right. So my last slide here, if there are any other questions on the study?
Any other questions? Ms. Freya?
My question
Okay, I
was
have one
asked-
last,
Ms.
please.
Lewis- No, Ms. Lewis had actually answered
Okay.
the question I was going to ask.
Any other
Or she
questions?
asked the question I was going to ask.
Brett, you okay?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
We have one more. I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna walk you all the way through this. But this is the timeline that we're operating under. If you all are interested in launching service in the beginning of 2022. And we'll go into much more detail on this if you decide to move forward. There's lots of moving parts, but the good news is that the PCE staff will do all of the heavy lift on that integration. So it's really a light touch in terms of what we would ask of the city, We would ask that you help with public outreach and identifying stakeholder groups and helping get the word out. But other than that, we take care of all of the technical integration and all of that.
All right.
That's it. And any questions? I
have-
welcome them.
I have one last question. I want to go back to page 7.
Okay.
That's the one where you have the 2 PG&E bills. And, if you could just make this simple to me, like, a kindergarten person.
Yeah, I'll try.
I'm seeing a current PG&E delivery charge here. I assume that on that first bill is what the customer paid maybe that month or similar to what it would be on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And then the switching over to the Peninsula Clean Energy, there was a $24 charge.
Yeah.
And some change. Then the next bill that comes out is $24 and change. Wait a minute, it's the same thing as what the charge was on the previous bill?
That's right. So if I could, and I'm going to make a very, be as simple as I can in my explanation. And then if you're really interested in this, you should go on PCE's website because they have a little video for exactly how the bill breaks down, because this gets a little complicated. So if you want to go the extra mile, go check out that little video. But here's what you're looking at here. So that top line that says current PG&E electric delivery charges, that is the same for everybody. So that is actually, we probably should not have put that around in green around that. That actually doesn't change. That electric delivery charge is what PG&E charges to every customer, whether you're bundled or whether you're with the CCA program. What changes is that next one, okay? That next one that says Peninsula Clean Energy electric generation charge is $24 in this case. What you will see on the second page, which I think is reflected here, is essentially the credit from PG&E that comes back, because now you're not paying electric generation to PG&E, you're paying it to PCE. So PG&E will credit that back to you, usually in an amount greater, because you're saving 5%. So I know that it's hard to read and it's a little hard to see here, but do take a look at that video, and I'm also happy to walk you through it by one-on-one by phone if you wish.
Is the video, do I just go to your website?
Yeah.
And it's on this?
It's
paper here?
www.peninsulacleanenergy.org. And I think it's, hey Jan, do you know what the drop-down menu is, where that video is?
It's probably on the residents and businesses page.
Okay.
If you click on residential rates, that's where the video is, yeah.
Great.
It's actually peninsulacleanenergy.com.
Oh, sorry.
So if you write .org, it'll still take you there.
Okay. I've been doing .org for a long time.
Doesn't, shows the PCE page, not the PG&E page. So great suggestion that Sean made here to go to our little video.
It's effective.
It's very complicated.
Thank you for the question. Any others?
Any other questions? Okay,
Thank you very much for your time.
thank you. Consideration of adoption of City Council Resolution Number 6225, approving the study, Community Choice Aggregation, CCA, and partnership with Peninsula Clean Energy, PCE, and authorize the city manager to sign and submit PG&E data forms to conduct a technical study load analysis. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, before we go with that motion, I have a question of our city manager.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Alex, could you tell us financially where we are with everything that's going on with state taxes, waiting for that to be delivered to us and everything that we're facing, whether this is something that our budget can afford?
Mike's on, thank you. Good question, council member. There are a number of issues regarding revenues, revenue flow, but we think this is a good investment at this point. And we do have sufficient funds. I think we look to the contingency fund, which does provide funding for unanticipated expenses like this. But we think it's a good investment, and we do think we can afford it at this point.
That's it.
Okay. Any other questions? Do I have a motion? Mrs. Who? Who's doing this? Okay, Brett, hang on just 1 minute. These things are just hard to punch, you know? All right, there you go. Try that.
Yeah, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt City Council Resolution 6225 as stated.
Okay, and I see Mr. Faria.
I'll second that.
How come this is,
No light. But,
let me try it again.
okay,
All right,
I'll second that.
thank you. It's been motioned by Jones, second by Faria, to approve Resolution 6225 as read by title. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Thank you and have a safe drive home.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. I'll call you later. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And Alex will be back.
Okay, now we're going to number 9. The new 10 will be number 8, old number 8. Consideration of adoption of ordinance number 1185, amending Chapter 8, Title 11 of the Los Banos Municipal Code, regulating shopping carts. This is a second reading and adoption. And who are we going to?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. So I am going to be pretty brief on this particular item. As you may recall, on May 20th, the Las Vegas City Council waived the first reading and introduced ordinance number 1185 by title. Essentially, what this ordinance does is it amends the existing shopping cart ordinance that we do have, which is in compliance with state law. But what it does is it has certain requirements for cart retention, and then it also has requirements for cart sanitation. So with that, staff is asking that the city council waive the second reading and adopt ordinance number 1185 by title. If you'd like more explanation, I'd be happy to do that. But we went pretty in depth in the last city council meeting, and so I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, if not, we have 2 motions here to waive the second reading and then for the adoption. Who do we have here? Who'd like to do that? Okay,
That went off.
all right, there you go.
Okay, with that, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to waive the second reading of ordinance number 1185 as read by title.
Mrs. Santos?
Second. Second.
Thank you. Motion by Lewis, second by Santos, for the waiving of the second reading of ordinance number 1185. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Mrs. Lewis?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 1185 as read by title.
Mrs. Santos?
Second.
Motion by Lewis, second by Santos for the adoption of 1185. Roll call vote. Director Maloney?
I don't have a mic.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, you do it, Mike.
Okay. All right, I'll do that. And Faria?
Yes.
Johnson Santos?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Villalta, yes. Motion carries. Okay, let's go back to the old number 8, the new number 10. And it is public hearing. If you challenge a proposed action described herein in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing described herein or in written correspondence delivered to the city at or prior to the public hearing. Public comment during the following public hearing item will be taken in real time via email. Once the public hearing is open, the city council will pause the meeting in order to receive emails directed to the public hearing up to 250 words and will read comments into the record after resuming the meeting. 8A, public hearing, to receive public comment and consideration on a levy of the proposed annual assessment for the 2020-2021 fiscal year for landscape and lighting districts numbers 1 through 7 and 9 through 19. 8A1, City Council Resolution number 6224, confirming diagram, assessment, and levying assessments for landscaping and lighting district numbers 1 through 7, 9 through 19 for the 2021 fiscal year. And we are going to Public Works Development Director and City Engineer, Mr. Pachin. Hang on. Come on.
Thanks.
Okay, there we go.
Thanks, Mayor and City Council members. And as the mayor did state, we're looking for 2 actions on this 18 landscaping lighting districts to conduct the public hearing, the noticed one to solicit input on the landscaping and lighting district annual assessments. And number 2 is adopt a resolution confirming the diagram and assessments for these landscaping and lighting districts. As this comes to you every year, usually the meeting before the adoption of the budget meeting, which is usually the first meeting in June, this comes forward to you. And we have to have this approved, whether it stays the same, goes backwards, or goes up by a small increase. It has to be approved, or there is no assessment for the year. So it goes to the county assessor's office after approval in some states. So there is some assessment. So we need to do this. We have a total of, you need to sort of look at this and see if you agree. We have a total of 18 landscaping and lighting districts. There's no number 8. I do not know why, but there is no number 8. So if you look at that, that's an oddity. And these landscape and lighting districts include the maintenance and improvements, which are part of landscaping and lighting districts. They're specific for each district, but in general, they include street lighting, landscape street medians, right-of-ways, storm drain facilities, water, sewage disposal, sidewalks and street signs, parks and related facilities, masonry walls and fences, and/or traffic signals. We did put a public notice in the local paper on May 15th, 2020. There was a reference to contact both myself and the city clerk. At this time, I have not received any input. We can check with the city clerk after this. There is 6 parts to the engineer's report. It's quite extensive. It's very long. We have included some of the parts for you to review for each of the 18 landscape lighting districts. The most important part to review actually is the assessment and how we estimated the assessment. We take what we estimate to be the cost for the year. We put whatever the balance forward is, and if it's a negative or a positive forward, to see what we need. We distribute about for the amount of residential units. So in a couple of these, you'll have like A, B, C. And some of them do have some commercial, which are by acres. And there is one specific one, it's the rail trail, that's the lineal footage of the rail trails. But all of these are analyzed as far as a residential unit goes. We do, on the report, you will see how you do that. You estimate what the cost will be, and you also look at a 5-year capital window. And I have the capital for the next year, proposed capital is listed there, as well as capital for the 4 years after that. So that's encompassed into the report to see where we'll be as we want to do capital. So number one thing is you're trying to get rid of the deficits that may exist. You try not to do deficit spending. You can have up to 50% of the cost as a rollover without taking into account capital. So it could be more than 50% if some of that's going to capital in the future. 50% is sort of a leeway that a lot of people use in order to have room in there in case a pump goes out or there's emergencies, and that happens. So you see there's quite a lot of things here, especially landscaping, irrigation replacement, and in the future as these districts get in better shape. I don't know if you remember, but about 10 years ago when I first came forward to you on this, actually it was more than that, I think we had 9 that were in the hole very much, and it was near almost $1 million, I believe. We still have 2 that are in the hole. One's about $500,000, and that district is over by Meadowlands, totally, and that will come out of the hole, but we have there's homes that have to be built in order for that to happen. Why that helps come out, there is cost when you have a new home, but there's a lot less cost versus the area that you're annexing into. And in this area, there actually is, it's over by Pacheco Park. There actually is a very large basin, which will have some requirements and issues like that. But the rest of it isn't as green laden as some of the areas around Pacheco Park. As you know, if you go over there, there's quite a few parks, quite a few green spaces. That's why this is showing a 500,000 deficit. Just this year, it was called South Point, did 3 maps and 60 of those units came on. So it did help a little bit in that. Even though it got a little more negative this year, it did help a little bit to offset some of that negativity. Now, I think there's I don't know offhand how many, I think it's a couple hundred at least homes left to do in South Point. And North Point, and South Point does have a tentative map. North Point, which is right north of it, adjacent to it, will be going into the tentative map process now, or has been. It's no approved at this time. So those 2 subdivisions, just to give you some, will not only bring those forward, but also get those positive in about 3 years from when those units get developed. Now, it's going to be, takes a while to develop those many units, but depends on the economy too. We thought by this time they might already been developed. The economy has been hard, and we went through some hard times. This is one area, just for council's information, because it might come up to quite frequently. The signal at Vineyards and Mercy Springs Road, which is just an unimproved section of the highway, and then the Vineyards stops before it comes to the highway. That will reach warrants during the North Point phase. I believe it's North Point, during North Point phase. And during that phase is when that signal actually gets developed by that developer. The city has been collecting some fees from all the Vineyard subdivisions in the past. We have about $780,000 that goes towards that. Not nearly enough, but we'll be working on that as it comes to fruition, as it comes up to warrant, which we see as on the North Point phase, when North Point starts to develop. And there's not a lot of open subdivision in that area, so I don't see that coming any closer than that North Point development. But just a slight summary, it actually has looked really good. This is one of the better reports that we have been able to bring forward. In 2021, we're using a cost of living index of 2.9%, which is the March 1st through February 28th or 29th, depending if there was 28 or 29 days in the year in 2020, but I think it was 29. That cost of index is what was used. So next year, it'll be March 1st through the February. So if there's slowdowns in the economy where the cost of living or the price index goes down or goes to 1 or something, that'll show up in next year's recommendation and engineer's report. It doesn't show up in this year's yet. And actually, if you look now, it doesn't even show up on any of the price indexes at this moment. It's too early. But we don't lose the years where maybe the economy goes slow and the increase will only be 1.5% or something. You don't lose that. It's a 12-month cycle from February to February. So we'll look at that next year. And if there is the fear of what's happening with unemployment, all that will show up in that number next year, and we'll present that to you. But based on that, the following districts are recommended to only increase by 2.9%. And I'll just read them off. It's districts 1, and there's charts in here for you. Districts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 12, 14, 17A, which is, I believe that is over here next to Ortega Olivera Park. 17A is the older section of those homes, and 18. Okay, there is 3 districts and 2 parts of 1 district recommended not to be increased at all. In other words, when we look at the cost, we look at where we're going forward. It looks like with the capital in the future at this point, we have enough in the reserves that we're dealing okay with it. We don't want to get more reserve than we need to. There's no need to do that 2.9%. The goal in the future is you have a nice 5-year plan that keeps going and going. And each year you're sort of looking at a cost of living increase, and that's it for all the districts. That's what you're looking. We're pretty close now. But so in districts 13, 15, 16, 17B, and 17C, it is all recommended not to be increased. So we split, first time we've done that since here, we've split one of the districts up to an increase in one of them and 2 sections, no increase. So we did split that up. So,
Michael,
Go ahead and press your button.
I did.
You're good.
Okay, you said 17A. Am I looking at the right one here?
it's the subdivision over by Olivera Park.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the wrong, I see, I was looking at 3, A and B, but I see where 17A.
Yeah, 17's there.
Okay, all right.
And the C part is the most recent subdivision, the most recent homes in the last 2 years. They were annexed in as a C part. And what you do is you take a look at the cost of the whole subdivision. You can't, if it's already in a negative or running in a negative, you can't transfer some of the cost of the older homes to the newer ones, but you can charge them different rates. You can look at what each one should be, and then the new ones can get what is legitimately their share, and then eventually these two should meet. They should meet, and then everyone should be paying the same fee. Takes a while, but that's why we're not going up in the high ones, the new ones, because they're paying their fee. And the older ones are going up by the maximum because by the 2.9%. There is two deficits that we had to go to the maximum on. One was District 11, and I believe that's over at Overland. Yes, Meadowlands. That's the one I said with the $500,000 in the hole at this moment. The maximum it can go up is 5%. So even if you look at the 2.9%, it's only a 2.1% above what cost of living. So that one, without having those homes come in, it's going to be really hard to eliminate $500,000 of negativity. But when the homes come in, it definitely will eliminate that very quickly, actually. And the other one is District 19, which is Talbot Park. If you know where Talbot Park, it's the Basin Park next to the junior high. Thank you. And the person that used to be in charge of the junior high, I think. Oh, not that one. Okay, but so it's next to that. And what happened there? That basin there was all done off Home Depot. That drains all the way Home Depot back. So when you see the open lands in that area, those areas have to annex in. They have to start development. When they develop, they will have also units that go in here. And the main thing to maintain there will be that park. So we're hoping to get that. It currently is going down very slightly each year, but as we see development, it will go down quicker. And we're hoping to see 4 or 5 year where it zeroes out, and we're looking at where we can actually look at capital in some of these districts that are negative. Those two, actually. So, yeah.
So as a developer builds and they start off with a new phase of a totally new subdivision, and after the first phase, we have this L&L, we have landscaping needs.
Yes.
But let's just say phase 2, 3, 4, and so forth, so on, doesn't get built up because of the economy. Say if it takes 10 years, who's holding the cost for that?
If a final map is done, if a final map creates lots, it automatically becomes part of the district. Finished or not finished, it becomes part of the district. As soon as they file the final map and it's recorded and lots are created, you enter into the district. You're annexed into the district. It's a requirement of a tentative map.
So the city's gonna have to pay for it?
No,
Or no?
we will be collecting money from them.
Oh, from the
Yes.
from the owner of the lots?
Yes, they'll be collect money from them. But the problem is, more of the problem is what happens if you have a subdivision that isn't being used, it starts hitting the black surface, the blacktop, the asphalt. We call it the black surface. And that you just are ruining streetlights, and it's hard to keep up with that much deterioration. But these actually go in as the final maps are done. And it's every year when we do the engineer's report, we go back, look at all the final maps that were approved from July 1st to this period now, and all those get incorporated into whichever district they agreed to be annexed in. And they cannot record a map without signing an annexation agreement, landscaping lighting district annexation agreement.
And that's why all our approved lots have not been built out yet, as far as roads in, curb gutter, all that.
Well, the
Like
reason
North
now
Point,
is
South
more
Point.
more developer driven. Now they want to have those streets there and homes fronting those things, and they can get out of their assessment quickly, and homes can start living in there, and they're not carrying that land. In the past, it was so hot, they just did a whole lot of blacktop, and it went down pretty fast. There's not too much of that being done now, like Shaughnessy and things like that. It seems like they're building this almost with knowing a quarter to half of it has a good clientele, and they're not having problems with that. I don't know, big ones like the new subdivision that they're graded across from the old junior high. That's one that's a lot of lots. So we're hoping not to get in that situation because it just creates a real impact to the city. And in the future, when we go into tentative maps, we'll probably state something to the effect of something just sitting around for years and years and years. We need to have some way to get some recovery of above and beyond the landscaping line districts, because some of those items are not covered in the landscaping line districts. And one definitely not covered is the asphalt.
That is true.
Yeah,
And that's probably the most expensive cost.
It can be, yeah.
Thank you.
And that's also why you might get someone saying, why are they out there seal coating a street when there's no homes on it? There's a reason. There's a financial investment there. And sometimes we have to do that. It's hard for someone that's living on a street for 10 years and only sees someone once every 10 years doing something, and all of a sudden we're out there doing something where there's no homes. It is a financial investment because we have accepted those lots. We have accepted those public improvements. They become our liability. And are positive, depending on how you look at it, you know. So you'd really like to have streets come in as homes come in as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's, that's all I have. It's a pretty standard. Actually, I think it looks pretty good. I know it's a really tough time for people. 2.9, there you can see the distribution of what that amounts to. The only scary thing is the 2.9% is based on keeping this going and not going back like we did 10 years ago and start having districts that were just trying to catch up with maximum increases. If you start not doing the 2.9% and the inflation index, I start coming before you in a couple of years and saying we need 3 years of 10%. And we're finally getting to a good state. And like I said, if this continues and it is tough, it will show up in the inflationary factor next year. And I'll be bringing you something different then.
And thanks to our not new negotiated anymore, but within the last few years, negotiated revenue sharing agreement with the county, we're pulling in more money too. And that's wonderful. So, okay.
I think there's a question. Did you have a question?
Question? Go ahead and press your button.
Okay, Mark, this is just, to help educate me. I'm looking at District 3 on the estimate of costs. And under number 5, you have landscape maintenance, and you have landscape maintenance, park maintenance, and professional services. Are those three all could you explain to me what those are?
Okay, which ones were they again? Could you
Well,
give me the
have
numbers?
number 5, landscape maintenance, you have
Okay.
park maintenance, which I understand that's the maintenance, and then you have professional services. So whoever provides the professional services also provides that as well.
Yeah, the professional services is the contract with Ronnie's to maintain the parks and the green space. Landscape maintenance is what we estimate they'll be doing when there's landscape repairs that we only pay materials on. So we have to put an estimate in there when there's a irrigation leak or a valve repair. They are directed to, we tell them what it is, or they tell us, and they go and they do it. And our contract reads it's only on parts. So they do that with no labor charge. And
Let me get you.
yeah, and park maintenance is also part of their contract. We split it up. If you look into this, the medians and park maintenance are split into different things. And to give you, and also if you go all the way down, one thing that you might not have recognized, but on number 4, on B, incidental expenses, charge in the 7845. 7845 is the cost of city staff in this district. What happens is in the maintenance budget, city staff is all put in the maintenance budget, and then there's a charge in for their labor into this, because we do also do work in the districts, not just our contractor. No, that's actually city staff time, city staff maintenance time, because our people do things in these areas also.
Do you guys have a pre-approved parts list? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Deborah.
I'm here all night.
We may be.
Sorry, wait.
I know, I have time.
Mrs. Lewis, press your mic.
Is that something?
You mean for fence maintenance?
Yeah, is that something specific within the district or just an estimate in case something happens?
It's an estimate. We do not have The only ones that we do know exactly where we're going for with these things is when you look at the capital list that I gave you there on the staff report, there's some capital that's been incorporated into this. But no, that's just a kind of a placeholder, because we know there will be some fence repairs somewhere. If they're not, we can always budget adjust it into an item of repair that we do. So we know that that's going to be used. It's just one of the items we need.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And
then,
$72, whatever it is, sounds like a little bit, but sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but it does get incorporated into one of these line items. And then this is all, we use last year's numbers to see how we're doing now. So as we go to the budget process, we have to do this before we give Sonia's gang our numbers for what we're looking for costs and for what she'll be presenting to you tomorrow, actually. So we have to give her what the engineer's report is asking for, and that's what you'll see tomorrow in the landscaping line districts. It'll be a duplicate of this engineer's report.
okay. And then, under District 10, as best I can figure on this map, it looks like it's the Walmart area. And I see there's a park maintenance there for $15,000. At least it's that purple square on there. That's what I can figure out. It looks like it may be Walmart.
Yeah, it is in the, let's see, District 10. I don't have those drawings in front of me, unfortunately. But if I can find it. And unfortunately, I made very small pictures of them, huh?
I don't know if that's maintenance for that new median that was put in.
Well, it's maintenance for all the medians that are in that area. There's medians in that area. It's the Walmart area that you're talking about?
Yeah, but just below Walmart, the rest of it is residential area. Which
Right,
is not
it is.
District 10, that's District 17.
Okay. Yeah, you are looking at some maintenance that's required at the median surrounding those commercial ventures, yes.
Okay.
And I believe, if you look at that, District 10 actually has, let me get the breakdown real fast. I believe it has, two separate ones. And one is, if you look at A, it's the improvements connected with subdivisions. And, oh wait, I'm sorry. It's improvements associated with Walmart expansion and have been completed. So it's accessible as seven units, but it's an acreage charge, so.
So again, that is that median?
Yes, it is. It's that median. And no, and all the work in front of that, front of that commercial venture. Along the highway, there's that meandering walk.
Okay.
You know what I mean? There's
Oh,
that
yeah.
meandering
That's a
walk
big
in front of, right where that right turn out is that everyone doesn't pay attention to, coming out of Walmart area
Oh,
by Taco Bell, I believe.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a large median area,
Okay.
and that extends down to, so that area is also part of the district.
Okay,
And there was a time there when it wasn't maintained well. It's being maintained better now.
okay, all right. And then, lastly, on District 17.
Okay.
I think it's the first page. There is, under item 9, line item number 9.
Yes.
Street treat maintenance.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Well, that's $1,200.
Yeah, it's not
a
much.
lot of money. So
Yeah.
I don't know, would that be like trimming of the hedges and such that we were discussing earlier?
It would be trimming and replacement of trees when we have the funds to do it, and we cleaned out the other ones. This is a 1, 2, 3. That's 17, correct? That you're asking me
yes,
about?
yes.
Yeah, the first one, A, is the improvements connected to the older subdivision. The next one is the newer subdivision, and then the last one would be Stone Creek Plaza. That's the Arco McDonald's 99-cent store and Weston Dental. So that's all in there too, but that's item C, and I believe this is the one where A went up by the 2.9% and the other two held the same because they were set pretty high. They were set at the actual cost. I think they're over 700 a year because they were set at the actual cost that all those should be paying. And as a 2.9 and the cost of living goes up, we can see the other one dropping. And the other thing that happens too is there is such a thing that if like, let's say C is at 750, and you get a year where you still have to, you have to raise the older ones, you may have to drop the other ones if they're paying too much more than their fair share. That's a totally legitimate thing too. And these districts are, you can go up a maximum, most of them are 10, some of them are 5. You can also reduce them a maximum of 10 or 5, depending on which one you're in. That was set in the bylaws of the district when it was set up.
And I would assume that District 17, the one we're talking about right now, includes the Ortigalia
Yes, it does.
soccer park?
Yes, it does. Mhm.
Okay. all
And
right.
that's why if you look at the landscaping improvements 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, there was quite a bit of money spent. It was all that frontage along there. Last year, because we spent so much money, we didn't have ability to do that. Next year, we have $35,000 scheduled. The year after that, we have 70, then 35, and then 70, over 220,000 is our estimate over the next 4 years to start working on things along Cardoza and things.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we're good?
I'm good.
Are you okay? I bored you right out of it, huh?
I can go on for hours about this stuff, but I'm good. I got it.
Okay, thank you.
You. So any more questions?
There is a public hearing.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Just want to know if there's any more questions. Okay, thank you. All right, so at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the public comment period. And I'm going to recess the meeting for, I would say, 5 minutes? Pardon me? Okay, we'll take a quick break. Okay, we're on break till during the public comment period to see if we receive any public comments. Thank you. There we go. We're back from the public hearing. There have been no comments. So this is an action motion. So do I have a motion to approve 6224? Go ahead.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 6224.
Okay, do I have a second? Ms. Freya?
I'll second that.
Motioned by Johnson Santos, second by Faria for the approval of 6224. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Okay, now we're on item 11. Consideration of nomination of Merced County Association of Governments, MCAG, Measure V, Citizens Oversight Committee. And Mr. Jones and I interviewed John Cates, and we would like to bring that name forward. So, Mr. Jones, would you make the recommendation, please?
Yes. Want to make the recommendation to nominate John Cates to the Measure V Citizens Oversight Committee.
Thank you, and I'll second that if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay, and so we have a motion by Jones, second by Villalta for the nomination of John Cates to the Measure V Oversight Committee, Citizens Oversight Committee. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Advisement of public notices, one report. Go ahead. I think yours turns on.
There we go.
Okay.
So we do have one item. It's a tentative parcel map, a site plan, and a conditional use permit. And this is for AMPM Arco that will be located in the East Pacheco Plaza where the Home Depot Shopping Center is located. This is at 2027 East Pacheco Boulevard. The project does propose the development of a 4,244 square foot building and also a conditional use permit to allow the off sale of beer and wine with the Type 20 ABC license. The item will be heard at the Planning Commission meeting on Wednesday, June 10th at 4 p.m. And at this point, we've determined it will be a go-to meeting, so it will be virtual. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Let's go on to item 13, City Manager's Report.
Mike just went on. Mr. Fachin did mention earlier this afternoon the tree master plan. What he didn't mention was that we were successful in obtaining a $160,000 grant to fund the preparation of that tree master plan. So that's great news. And that really comes under the leadership of Joe Heim in developing that grant application so we can move forward with that plan. So it's good news and just wanted to pass that on to the council. That's it tonight, Mr.
Thank
Mayor.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's go on to report update Merced County Association of Governments, MCAG, Measure V Committee. Well, at the next meeting, we'll be bringing forward what MCAG would like to do with the acreage to expand our refuge site, our dump site. And I'll tell you, this is just a welcome relief because for the west side, so as I keep saying, they won't have to truck all this garbage another 50, 60 miles to Highway 59. So it's an expansion of almost 200 acres. So it's a good project. And then also the Pioneer meeting, that is when the 23rd. Okay, I want to assure everyone that we're going to have a virtual meeting on the 23rd, but we're trying to work out a follow-up, an in-person meeting. As things open up and we learn how to social distance and make sure everyone is safe, we would like to have another meeting as soon as we can, so people can attend the Pioneer Trail expansion, not only virtually but in person. So we're trying to work that out. Okay, that's all I have for MCAG and Measure V committee. So we're not going to forget you, Pioneer people. So either way, you'll get to participate. Okay, let's go on to item 15, City Council member reports. Tonight we'll start with Mr. Faria.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing to report tonight except stay well and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Santos. You can press yours.
There you go. Matt.
Okay.
Thank you. I would like to thank Chief Breezy and for yesterday's event, along with the whole police force and some of the sheriffs that came by as well. It actually turned out to be a very peaceful event, and it was definitely due to their presence. So thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, you can press that now and see if Mr. Jones.
Yeah, I only just had a question. Is there a way we can have a minister back in here next meeting
Um,
for prayer?
hoping maybe we can. We can.
If one's available?
Signed up for it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a different story.
I have somebody signed up August 19th.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
If we get someone, sure.
And that's all I had.
Of course. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Mrs. Lewis.
Nothing to report.
Okay. All right. Let me turn that off. Okay. So I attended the Peace and Justice March on Wednesday, and Mrs. Santos was there also with about 250, would you say, or more? And people were wearing masks. They were doing what they should be doing, and I was just so proud of them. Chief Breezy spoke, and Alex was there, and we were just, it was so nice. I mean, they came there, they had a message, and they delivered their message in peace and harmony, and I was so proud of them. Today, I attended the peace gathering at Pacheco Park, and there were about 40 students out there and some adults. And thank you to Mrs. Stonegrove, and thank you to Isla Nelson, Elizabeth Stonegrove and Isla Nelson, for putting on this successful event. And the kids were out there. They had a message. They delivered that message in peace. And again, just so proud of the youth in Los Banos. During these difficult times, they shined. So thank you so much. Thank you. I did some research, and all this stuff about the COVID that comes up, and it's really depends upon the year. It depends upon whether the vaccine works. It's really crazy, all the statistics that are out there. In a normal year, it's like 29 or 59 to 200 and something thousand of people that may contract the flu. The death rate can be from 29 to 60,000. But last year it was 80,000 that they died of the flu because the flu vaccine didn't work. In the last 3.5 months, almost 100,000 Americans have died. So statistics are statistics. We present them one way, we present them another way. It's just so tough. We don't want to lose one American life. All of us have our opinions, and I'm happy that we're able to express our opinions. But in the end, we just want to keep people safe. Everyone does. So with that, I'd like to adjourn to 4 p.m. Thursday, June 4th, in the City Council chambers at 520 J Street, Los Banos, California, to attend the 2020-2021 fiscal year budget workshop. And I'd like to adjourn to 4 p.m. Tuesday, June 9th, 2020, in the City Council chambers, 520 J Street, Los Banos, California, to hold an appeal hearing regarding the decision not to grant a waiver of transient occupancy tax collected. Now, do we need two separate motions for that, city attorney? Okay, so can I please have a motion to adjourn to 4 PM Thursday, June 4th, 2020, council chambers for the fiscal year budget workshop? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mrs.
So
Santos,
moved.
moved by Mrs. Santos, who seconds? I'll second. Okay, second by Faria. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposition? None carried. Okay, let's go on to adjourn to 4 PM Tuesday, June 9th, City Council Chambers, 520 J Street, Los Banos, California, to hold an appeal hearing regarding the decision to not grant the waiver of the transient occupancy tax collected. Motion, Ms. Santos?
I don't know. Oh, so moved.
Okay, Ms. Faria?
Second?
Okay, motion by Santos, second by Faria. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, meeting adjourned at, anything else? Meeting adjourned at 8:04.